Ugh.
But I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown and amuse you?
Oh, it's good to be back.
I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy.
Yeah, maybe after 9/11 where everybody got so sensitive. Thanks a lot, Bin Laden.
Hello, you don't know? These are no questions, though.
I'm as mad as hell, but I'm not going to take this anymore.
You can't handle the truth.
Welcome to my funeral. I don't even think Koho came up with this idea, but it ended up being an All Kingsman episode. So I'm in danger. I've battled this team for a while in the trivia, and now I get to tell them they're all wrong in Euro Sucks. First, we got Cameron Holtzman. Soon to be on the Top 100 series, the Winter Edition. Holtzman, how do you think you're going to stack up tonight versus the rest of the Kingsmen? And I have a follow-up question when you're done with that.
Look, I did not try to go for like the objective 10 best film characters. I picked 10 of my favorites, and my list is in no way the 10 best film characters. But it's my list. And I also almost didn't apply because I assumed you wouldn't want me because I'm on the top 100 and everyone's going to see me for 10 weeks. But you needed people, so...
Yes, Lucky Barr tried to say, hey, move it. And I said, no. And then you're able to be on. Follow-up question. Of the Kingsmen, who's the most annoying?
Jack Pinchuk.
Correct answer. Correct answer.
I'm allowed to say that he's family.
Oh, nice. I like to see how that worked. Boatman, you were on the Top 100 series in the summer and couldn't make the final episode. How do you feel like you're going to do this episode? I always want to just bring that up when you're on the show.
I mean, fair. It wasn't really my fault, but fair. It wasn't. But no, I'm B student Boatman when it comes to YLS. I'm always solidly slightly above average. Never spectacular, but I'm always slightly above average, and I think that's where I'm going to land tonight. And I'm just happy to see that Brian Nussbaum's here so that he can continue his Kaleb Koho obsession.
Yes. Is that Howie Mandel? Okay, anyways, Kaleb Koho. By the way, Tyler Scully, we've already taken 3 Tylenol, so we'll see how the night goes. Koho. Bowman's going to be also next week, and I need your list. Holiday movies. If you're interested, I don't care if you've been on the show 14 times this year. Send me your list so I can do holiday movies, because I like talking about holiday movies. Next, we got Kaleb Koho.
Hi.
This time, instead of watching a movie during YLS, you're going to be participating. How do you think you're going to do tonight? And who is the most annoying member of the Kingsmen besides Jack?
The answer is Jack. If you see that man's letterbox, the objective answer is Jack. Otherwise the answer is me, to be completely honest. But
that's what I was waiting for.
Excited to be on again. It's fun to be here. I put certain parameters on my list for this one. I did not include any superheroes because we just talked about comic book movies for so long. I was just like, we'll give them a break. And I didn't include any real life people. So these were all original characters for film. So excited to be here. This is gonna be fun.
Oh, Koho just saw Inside Man. That makes me like him a little bit more.
It is so good.
Good. Gave a correct score to it too, so that's great because still haven't seen Kramer vs. Kramer. It's fine. Redshaw. I like you as a person. I think you're too timid around me. Like I'm too mean, but I'm not going to be mean to you tonight because I think that we'll have some opinions that we agree on and disagree on. How do you think you're going to do tonight? And is Koho the most annoying member of the Kingsmen?
Yes. And
it's accurate. I can't be mad.
Can we say Spence technically aren't they a part of the Kings?
No.
Spence is not a king.
I think technically as of right now there are only like 6 official Kings.
They are a statesman in the sense that they're a restricted free agent via Waterloo right now, and that is it.
Oh, the greatest team I forgot about.
Exist as of this moment.
Oh yeah, that's right. Waterloo doesn't exist as this moment. So guess what? Waterloo dead, broken up. Bye.
All right, so how do you think you're going to do tonight?
We'll see. I'm in danger with one or two of these picks, but I'm just happy my availability opened up just in time for me to be on a very narrow, easy to make list episode. So
right,
very easy.
There has been more episodes that Redshaw has wanted to be on than has been able to be on. So I'm excited to get him on this show. He's always a list I'm waiting for. Him and Barr have really bad availability on Wednesdays normally. All right, so how the show works, everybody brings in a top 10 list. We didn't do it by character or movie. Like if they're in multiple movies, that's fine. We're just breaking it down and talking about that character. They have to be a protagonist or side character of some sort. Like we kind of said no one-scene wonders, but no villains. That's the main point about this. I think some of them were on. I think somebody was here on the Best Villains episode.
Third Man.
Oh, yeah, he had Third Man, and I had Jenny.
Correct choice. All right. So how the show's going. Everybody brings the top 10 list. 10 through 8, 7 through 4. Trade one apiece once we get to the top 3. The only opinion that matters is mine, and they'll say a bunch of bullshit to defend why they say these are the best, and I'll tell them when they're wrong. We're going to kick it off with Holtzman. Give us your 10, 9, 8.
All right, so just checking, we yikes only the specific character. If it's a different character from the same movie, we talk about it right away. Okay.
Right. It's just character.
My number 10, to stay completely on brand with who Cameron is as a person, is Gigi from Booksmart.
Oh. Bullshit. I don't know if I got that.
Koho?
That's chill.
Koho, did you not get my updated list?
I don't think I did. That's chill.
That's cool. Great.
Did you change it?
Yeah. I sent you an updated list when you changed it from protagonists to non-villain characters. Because you changed it from protagonists to non-villains. And so I changed my list. My 9 is Chief Bromden from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yep, Koho's typing. Cool.
I sent him the updated one.
Thank you.
And my 8 is Hiccup from the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy.
That could mess up his math. Sorry. I thought he just said it once. That's my bad. Koho is totally in the clear today. This is 100% me, and I'll get yelled at.
This has never happened before, and I would lie if I said that I'm not sick to my stomach right now. Okay.
All right,
I sent Cody the list. Cody thumbs up the list and then did not forward it to Koho.
I put the hard.
All right, cool. So just start talking about number 10 now.
Yes.
So yeah, my number 10, Gigi from Booksmart. This is a movie, like it just came out last year, but this is a movie that instantly just like connected with me. I relate to it a lot because I too was a loser who did not party in high school. Gigi is absolutely my favorite character in this movie. Billy Lord gives an incredible performance. Just an absolute crazy person who continually shows up, and you have no idea how she is getting to any of these locations. I am a golden starfish. Amazing. Number 9, Chief Bromden. When this was protagonists, I originally had Randall McMurphy on my list, but Chief is my favorite character in this movie. I think Will Sampson is giving an incredible performance. The fact that he wasn't nominated for an Oscar and a different performance from this movie is insane to me. I think he is just like this strong, silent figure, and then at the end, when you see him break down after what happens to Mac, it's absolutely crazy. It's just absolutely heartbreaking and emotional and incredible. And number 8, Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. I think Hiccup is another character I relate to a lot because he is kind of just a person who goes against what everyone's like, oh, hey, strength and all that. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not a strong person. I'm a smart person. And that's kind of why I relate to him. I think he goes through an incredible arc. The way his relationship with Toothless is told throughout the 3 films is absolutely incredible. I also love that he's a character who actually faces consequences. Like, he loses a leg. Like, it's an animated movie where characters face consequences that carry over into the other movies. And you don't see that a lot.
Koho secretly has probably never been more mad than he is right now at me.
Oh, I'm not mad at you at all. I am just really, really, really trying to make everything work.
Okay, thank you. Greatest man with no salary.
I do not party at all now, Paul.
He does party now.
And there's no T in my last name.
Okay. Fair. All right, you're 10. We'll work slow. Gigi from Booksmart. Okay, so I've seen Booksmart one time. I'll be completely transparent. I I liked the movie a lot when I first watched it. Gigi might be the character that annoys me the most in this movie, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying she's bad. Like, that's just she's really over the top. So it didn't draw back to it. As soon as you started telling me that she shows up on Liz's faces, that does it does. Again, these are your favorites. Again, everybody interprets it different. Wouldn't be on my list by any means, but I think it's a good character. I think there's some other characters from Booksmart you could have picked, but I understand this one's probably the most standoutish one. 9, I'm going to give you full credit on this one. This is a really good choice for all the characters you could pick. I don't know if Nurse Ratched showed up on Villains. I think she did.
I had her, definitely.
She definitely showed up on the list.
Which there's so many good characters in this movie, and Chief is like a fantastic choice. Not when you instantly think of, not when I think of the movie, but it's definitely when you think about how big of a role that is, how big of that, what that character does in that movie is. Great choice. Shut up, Paul. Why are you here? What is this Kingsman propaganda bullshit? And 8, Hiccup. Hiccup's a great choice. I have been on record that I may like the How to Train Your Dragon series more than the Toy Story series, at least the 1, 2, 3. Pairing. I think How to Train Your Dragon is so dope. I think and Hiccup, like that relationship between Hiccup and Toothless, and that the first movie and where they grow. And I like the third one a lot. I know not everybody was a huge fan of it, but I really enjoyed Hidden World. So Hiccup as a character is, I mean, way better than most animated like protagonists, to be honest. So you're doing well so far. I was
50-50 between Hiccup and Toothless, and I picked the one that actually has dialogue.
Yeah, I would have probably agreed with it, but that's how great that movie is, because how much Toothless portrays like its feelings and everything through no dialogue whatsoever. It's really cool, and they're kind of a pair for me. You don't have one without the other, really. But Boatman, what is your 10, 9, 8?
Hey, my 10 is Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride. My 9 is Rupert Pupkin from The King of Comedy. And my 8 is Mary Poppins.
Paul, I'm just kidding. I love you. Stay. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Inigo Montoya, I think he's one of like just the most fun side characters in movies, with his obviously the catchphrase of "You kill my father, prepare to die." But I think the way Mandy Patinkin portrays him is so much fun, and he's so like ridiculous and over the top, but also like you very much connect with his fight and his quest to find the six-fingered man. And it's kind of great, his journey from like antagonist against Wesley at the start of the movie to being one of the side heroes of the film. I love him a lot. I think it's my favorite journey in the film. 9 is a little bit more of a complex character. Rupert Pupkin is basically just this dark mirror into society and the obsession that kind of brews with celebrity and fame that has just gone tenfold with the invention of the internet. Robert De Niro's portrayal is great, but really it's the psychological damage that Pupkin has. Like, Pupkin does not have bad motivations. He makes bad decisions, but he does not have necessarily evil motivations. He just wants to be loved. He wants fame. It's the methods at which he goes to get that is where he goes too far. But there's also something about him that you kind of love, because he is kind of awkward and funny, but you are also made incredibly uncomfortable by him, and you see why Jerry Lewis's character is uncomfortable by him. So there's this great duality in this character that I love. My number 8 is just Mary Poppins. This is, of course, a very whimsical movie, a very whimsical character, but I think my favorite thing is about Mary Poppins is also how kind of stern she is. Like, and how she refuses to acknowledge that anything magic is going on. And like just the way that she does have this sense of discipline, but it's because she really does care about Jane and Michael and the Banks family as a whole. She genuinely wants them to be better, so she's not going to just be all fun, giggles, and smiles, but she's also going to provide the whimsy that Jane and Michael need, but also the discipline. And I think it's, again, this great duality of a character, and of course, Julie Andrews just knocks it out of the park.
Julia Roberts would have been a way different choice. But listen, Inigo Montoya, I think I understand where it's like, you killed my father, prepare to die, that and the whole thing. I still laugh really hard. And my favorite line in the whole thing is, I don't think that word means what you think it means. Just the exact response, and how he's brought that back on TikTok right now is about my favorite thing. Is just where he pops up, I don't think that word means what you think it means. I'm really surprised this character is not on more people's list. Maybe because they thought it was already going to be on there. This character is one of those characters that it will always rank really high. The Princess Bride, it could just be plain. I know exactly where scene it is, and like where I've seen this movie so many times, and this character has never gotten old. I think there's a lot of characters you could have picked for Princess Bride, especially. I think this is the correct choice. So good choice. By the way, I have no issues with your bottom half so far. This is a fantastic list. Yes, King of Comedy. There's a reason I like Joker so much. There's a reason that I really like Joker. The reason is because it's the King of Comedy, but darker, and way darker when you think about it. I think you picked the De Niro character, so you already get like it's a markup for 3 points right away for picking De Niro, and I honestly think it's. I think it's one of De Niro's best. I think it's at least top 3 performances that he ever has given. And I know that's a lot to say with how much work he is. I think he's amazing in this movie. I think this movie goes so underrated. When you think of Scorsese, no one brings up King of Comedy as fast as they pick up Goodfellas and stuff like this. And I would honestly watch King of Comedy over some of the longer Scorsese films that I really enjoy. I think and you described him perfectly, 100%. He's not a bad guy. He just has bad motivations of doing what he does. And if you haven't seen it, I would highly suggest King of Comedy. I think it's one of Scorsese's best films. And 8, this is Mary Poppins, not from like Emily Blunt, or is that the same character? Does this count? I don't know. Weird.
I'm only counting the 1964.
Okay. I've heard some people turn against this movie recently, that's boring and they don't like it, and there's stuff like that. That kind of hurts me because this movie is my childhood. Like, I remember watching this so many times. I think Mary Poppins, especially played by Julie Andrews, has that just warm feeling that she brings on the screen. I think the music's always great. I think she's funny, but she's like, it's a fantastic role. I think it's probably not. I think now when people haven't seen it for a while, or the people that love the movie talk it up a lot, and they get to it, and it's like, well, that first half's really good, the middle is kind of slow, and then the ending. I think the ending is beautiful in this film. So Mary Poppins is a great character. I think overall, I think she's one that stood, and that's why I really don't like the sequel to this movie. I just don't like it at all because it doesn't bring any of the magic from the first Mary Poppins to life. Even though Emily Blunt's great, she's just not Julie Andrews by any means. Koho, I know you're working hard. Do you want me to go to Redshaw and you keep working, or?
I can do this. I'm good. I can do it. All right. I made my list with a lot of weird, different, like focusing on different things that no one else really will talk about. Characters that I like. My number 10, I was always going to go with the weird one. I went with Theodore Twomley from Her. That's my 10. My 9 is Ted from Ted. And my number 8 is Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars franchise. Theodore Twomley might be my favorite Joaquin Phoenix character. It might be one of his best. It might be his best performance. I don't know. I still really like him in Joker, but I think Theodore Twomley is a really like great character within the context of Her just being this really lonely guy, but also kind of being the 21st century citizen that you kind of see. I know a couple Theodore Twomleys. Like, I've seen that person, and I think that Joaquin Phoenix really gives that character a lot of depth in life and makes him a really interesting subject for Her. Ted, this is just completely fun. I fucking love Ted, just as a movie and as a character. Is it just Seth MacFarlane kind of being Seth MacFarlane in a teddy bear? Absolutely. Do I need him to be anything more? Absolutely not. Because I think that Ted is his most lovable character that he's ever played or created. Just because, like, I care about Ted's well-being, especially in the third act at Fenway Park. I think, like, I don't really know what's going to happen with him, and I really hope that he does turn out okay and stuff like that. But, like, Ted's a character that, like, I really do enjoy. And then Luke Skywalker. So Luke Skywalker is my favorite non-villain in Star Wars. Because Kylo Ren's my favorite character in Star Wars, period. End of sentence. But I think Luke Skywalker is a character that I really like. Like, in A New Hope, he's whiny. He is this whiny kid that has this sort of destiny to play. And over the course of these movies, you see him mature, you see him grow, you see him really grow into being a hero. And then by the time we get to Last Jedi, you see him resent that and resent everything that he's had to do. And it just becomes, and I think especially The Last Jedi is my favorite part of Luke's journey, is the point where we get to basically the end for him, where he hates who he was and he hates the things he did in the 30 years before and sort of has to rediscover himself as a hero. Luke Skywalker is a character that I think gets a lot of hate now, but I really enjoy it as a character. So yeah, those are my three.
I think Paul talked shit on Joker up there, and I remember when it came out, you didn't hate it that much. So how dare you? These are some weird choices. I will state. By the way, douche, you're a douche, and you know why? You gave your own one of your characters that wasn't Yikes the thumbnail. That's a douche choice. That's a douche.
To be
choice.
Fair, I wasn't.
You
planning
normally
on doing
don't
that.
do that.
I
Okay.
was not planning on doing that.
Oh,
It just
God.
kind of happened.
What, we couldn't put Joaquin on there? Okay. Anyways, this is a weird choice. I watched this movie just recently. Again, because I watched it originally for YLS, and I had YLS glasses on, and I thought it was good. I didn't love it as much as I thought. I don't want to say too much because I think there may be a character later, but I think this is the wrong choice from her. I think this is absolutely the worst choice. Not the worst choice from her, but I think this is a bad choice from her. I think there is a character that does way more with less ability.
I definitely will also say, when we made the list, I made it with protagonists, and I never changed it because I stuck to my guns. So I
told you to take your time. Shut your mouth. I just think there's another character. We'll get that later. You're 10. You're 9. 10. I mean, fair. Wasn't Ted the first time you saw it this year?
No. That was Boatman.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it was me that saw Ted first.
Okay, I think Ted's great. I think Ted in our friend group is a little higher up in all of our eyes than probably in the world's eyes, because Tim does a perfect impression of Ted, and we enjoy hearing that. But I think Ted 2 sucks. I will say that. I don't care what Tim says. I think Ted 1 was kind of this rare, like, it's not perfect by any means, but it's a funny gem that sits there. And then they cash grabbed and did 2, and it wasn't even close. So Ted gets ruined by that. If they would have just ended the movie and went on, I think it would have been a little bit better. But Ted carries into Ted 2, and I don't really like that. Plus, I really hate Seth MacFarlane, if I'm going to be honest. He plays one great character in Ted. I enjoy it, but hearing his voice and you know it's him drives me absolutely fucking bonkers. And then 8. You know what? I would love to say this on this call because I would be afraid of people coming at me because I don't really give a shit. Luke Skywalker's a whiny bitch. I'm going to be real honest with you. Everybody hated Anakin in 1, 2, 3. He was just like father like son. They're both whiny bitches. That's basically what they are. He's even whiny in Last Jedi. He's whiny in Last Jedi. He throws it over his shoulder. You, blah, blah, blah. He whines the entire movie and then he takes the sacrifice. I don't like Luke Skywalker. The thing is, I'm the worst person for Star Wars because I like the villains in Star Wars. I wish the Empire would just win and destroy people because these other people are like, that's not nice. I can't stand it. Like, you have laser swords. Act tough for a second or do something. You just pull an X-Wing out of the freaking river. Just blow up something. Take charge. I find Luke very whiny. I would pick Leia. I would pick Han. I understand you probably picked protagonist and you weren't changing, but I would pick Chewbacca.
No, you're right. That's fair.
No. Luke is the whiniest of the series, and I power converters. Shut up. Gosh. Plus, this community's really made me hate Star Wars more and more every day. I'm going to be honest with you. All right. We're going to go to Redshaw. 1098.
All right. Mine might be even weirder than Koho's. My 10 is Elwood P. Dowd from Harvey. My 9 is Erica from The Piano Teacher. I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name. And my 8 is Samwise Gamgee from the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Pick one I heard of
mentioned
before.
the piano teacher and somewhere Jake just perked up.
my hack is showing. I apologize. But yeah, 10, Elwood P. Dowd from Harvey is James Stewart's character from the film. And I just think it's one of the most wholesome characters in films. In the words of Andrew Barr, this is like one of the most Redshaw movies. And if you watch it, you'll know why. But he's just one of the nicest people ever in the world. And also he happens to see a giant rabbit at all times and that he's best friends with. And they just get a lot of stuff out of that in the film. And I think the film is just really summarized by this one quote that Elwood says. He says, my mom always used to say, in this world, you must be oh so smart or oh so pleasant. For years, I chose smart. I recommend pleasant. I just think that's wonderful. My number 9, very similar. It's Erica from The Piano Teacher.
Oh, okay.
I just find this character in this film really fascinating. It's basically a character study of this woman who is a piano teacher because she's really good at playing piano, but she's not quite good enough to actually be a concert pianist. She has a really controlling mother, which leads to her having a lot of control issues and a lot of sexual repressions. And I don't know why I enjoy this film so much, but I just find her character so fascinating and just really interesting to follow as she tries to pursue one of her students, and things just go kind of haywire from there. And then number 8, Samwise Gamgee. I just think he's kind of the ultimate like companion character. I just love, like I said, just the ultimate companion character. Frodo wouldn't get anywhere he would without Sam, and he's just always by Frodo's side no matter what. He always has a good attitude about stuff, and he even when Frodo tells him to just go shove off, he comes back. So I just think he's the just one of the best side characters like that. Yeah.
Okay, so 10. I'm not going to lie on these bottom 2. You told me, I heard James Stewart. I was like, You said a visible rabbit. I went, don't think so. And then you kind of told it. Like James Stewart is one of those actors that I'm slowly getting into his filmography, and I really enjoy it. But I thought this movie was a joke when you described it to me. I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, wow, I knew it was 50s were a weird time back then, but it got weird. But it sounds like a movie that I may enjoy, actually, the more you described it. I don't really like pleasant people all the time. I like a little harsh or angry people more. So we'll see. 9, if I had to bet money, a lot of people would tell me don't watch this movie because
Cody, don't watch this movie.
You would not appreciate it, or 2, you would be uneducated and rip it apart and you don't know what you're talking about. So I'm just going to avoid that and say congratulations. I'm glad you like this movie. Samwise, you picked the correct character from the Lord of the Rings series. Again, I still want to see the series where like they're walking to the cliff, like on the cliff, and Samwise just shoves Frodo off and he tumbles and dies, and then it's Samwise going to the end. Frodo's a bitch, and Samwise should not be his friend. Like at the end when he's dropping the ring, he should just drop Frodo with him, and I would like stand up and cheer for that moment. But no, Samwise is the one character like I mean you got other characters, but this is the one character that I like because he's the one that says fucking kill Gollum. Like, let's just end this dude like right now. And for me, I don't know. Like, bitch, the dude's trying to eat me in the middle of the night, but you're still like, no, we can keep him alive for freaking 9 hours. So no, Samwise is a fantastic character. I have no issue with Samwise. So good choice. Now the episode gets fun. Now the gloves come off and the Kingsmen get to fight. And we're going to start fighting with Cameron Smith. So give us your
Cool. I don't think anyone's going to. People might say, "Oh, that's a weird pick," but I don't think anyone's going to say it's a bad pick. My 7 is Colin from Blind Spotting.
Go ahead.
I kind of figured I'd be the only one. Yeah, Colin is Daveed Diggs' character. I think that this is just one of the best examples of a very real, very human character from the past few years. Just someone who is so morally conflicted and someone who knows what is right and knows what they have to do and is fully aware of the fact that those two things are not necessarily aligned with each other. And then just seeing all this stress sort of build with him throughout the movie. He's dealing with this. He's dealing with the last few days of his probation. And then just that final confrontation scene where everything that's been building for these 3 days just sort of explodes. And finally he has a chance to just like let out all of his pain and all of his anger. And it's incredible. It's insane. He's someone struggling with his own identity, struggling with what's right. And I think it's just such a real moving character and a real moving performance. The fact that Daveed Diggs wasn't even nominated for an Oscar for this, I think is insane because I think this is one of my favorite film performances from the last few years. Yeah.
Okay. This is always a rough one. This is my very first. I've said this numerous times on the show, especially this year. This is my first year. This is the first movie of the year for me. I have not seen it since January 1st, so I have not done any rewatches of anything because I'm trying to watch stuff I haven't seen. I think this movie was incredible when I watched it, and the more I look back on it, the more relevant this movie has gotten since I watched it on January 1st, and that's a sad thing. It's a sad reality that we're living in. That it's more in the public, it's more relevant now than it was in January 1st.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, even 2 years. So it's sad that we're still fighting this, but I will say the end scene, basically, I think it was on scenes that where he holds the gun to the guy and just goes and does the rap. I think it is right. Is still one of those scenes from the first of the year that I still play in my head and I still think about and I still have those moments. I think it's a great character. Maybe too early, but I completely understand why it's still relevant. I'm excited to rewatch this movie and see where it holds up after another rewatch. But I know there's some people on the panel that really like this movie, so go ahead.
Yeah, Blind Spotting, Colin was like really close to making my list. He was in the mix for a while. I really like Blind Spotting. I watched it because of a couple people. I watched it on the plane home from the Chicago trip. So that's my favorite renting a movie for a trip experience because it worked out really well. So I can't fault the choice. It's a good choice. It just barely missed mine.
I view Blind Spotting more as an experience movie than a character study movie. I think it's more about just getting the experience of being in this situation. Like it's very much just trying to kind of put you in the POV of this character. So that's why I don't really think of like Colin as like one of my favorite characters, but I think it's still a good pick. I just think of the movie more experientially rather than character-wise.
Yeah, and I can't fault the pick. I love this movie. I think it's a great character. Honestly, I'd have a really hard time choosing between Colin and Miles if I was going to include one of them. Yeah. So I think Miles is a really compelling character too, and their dynamic together is really strong, especially the scene in the alley. I think it's probably my favorite scene of the movie, with the rap in the garage being really close. But yeah, I can't fault it at all. Great pick.
All right, I need more bloodshed. What's your 6?
Oh, we're about Cody. You know how we were nice and civil for the past 4. That's about to stop. My 6 is Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. Yep. Knew the reaction was coming from Cody. I assume no one is yikesing this, correct?
Fuck no.
Okay, cool. Where's Andrew Barr when you need him? Look, I love this movie. I think this movie is really fun. I think this is really great. I think Elle Woods is a phenomenal character. She is someone who, at the very beginning of the movie, is just very stereotypical, like your hot, dumb sorority girl, has no real marketable skills and is just existing. And then her boyfriend breaks up with her just because he says you're not smart enough. And she sets out to do one thing and one thing only, and that is prove that she is. And not only does she, Scully, shut up in the comments. Not only does she prove that she is what this guy said she couldn't be, but then she has the opportunity to get this guy back, which is what she sets out to do. And she realizes, no, you don't need this person to define you. She becomes her own individual person. She goes through a actually incredible character arc within the movie. She's got great quotable lines. She's very funny, and she's also like a legitimately phenomenal lawyer. Like, she breaks the witness on the stand. Like, say what you will, she's great. She graduates top of her class from Harvard.
You're out of order. He's out of order. The whole courtroom's out of. You're out of your mind. I'm sorry. When I think of the people I want to hire in a legal proceeding, Elle Woods is probably at the bottom of that tier.
Top two, Elle Woods and Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, that's called contempt in court. That's a guarantee that both of them are walking with. Okay, so Legally Blonde is a movie that I despise. The reason why I despise it is because I grew up with two sisters that love this movie. I thought this movie is amazing. You can only hear bend and snap and like it's hard so many times until you're just like not funny anymore. I really like courtroom movies. Like courtroom movies, if I really had to pick a genre that I'm probably like, let's go, it's probably courtroom movie. It's the bottom tier for courtroom. I get it. She's funny for some people. She's just not my cup of tea in this movie. It's overplayed, overdone. I get the dumb act, but it's just too much for me. Like, I'd watch the movie of her like dog for the entire thing over Elle Woods, to be honest with you. So,
oh, you mean
everybody else? Sure.
Gemini vegetarian?
I'm gonna kill myself. Go ahead.
All right. So I have not seen this film, but based on who the first person that endorsed Holtzman's pick in the comments, I assume it's an awful pick.
I have never seen the movie. I have listened to the musical soundtrack. Based on the musical soundtrack, it's not a Koho movie. But I would probably think it's fine.
I forgot there was a musical.
Yeah, my local theater was like, we're doing Be More Chill and Legally Blonde auditions at the same time. You can pick if you want to be in both or just one. And I said, I don't want to be in Legally Blonde, if I'm just to be honest. But yeah, it's not a show that I think I would enjoy, or a movie I would enjoy personally. But I also have no idea if the movie is the same as the musical. So take that.
I absolutely love Paul's.
Bruh, like, what do you want from
The
me?
musical is far inferior to the film.
There you go, valid.
Anybody else? Retro, what do you think about Elle Woods? Would you hire Elle Woods to defend you in a legal proceeding?
Probably not. But I haven't seen this film since I was probably in like middle school, so I don't really remember much from it. I'd honestly probably like it more if I saw it again nowadays, because I really love courtroom type movies, and I do like Reese Witherspoon quite a bit as an actress. So, but at the moment, I don't really have much of a take on this one. So.
Yeah, Scott Harvey's been pushing for courtroom dramas, and I'm getting close in my list that I think I could participate in that. All right, what's your 5, Holtzman?
My 5, I didn't follow the no superheroes rule. My 5 is Logan, Wolverine, whatever you want to call him. And specifically, if I have to pick one movie to represent him, it's Logan.
Okay.
Yeah. Logan will always be my favorite superhero character in film. I think Hugh Jackman is the perfect choice to portray him. I think just the way that the character has sort of evolved and changed over time, where in the first few movies you have just your very stereotypical Wolverine from the original comics, where he's a very aggressive, kind of a meathead, swears a lot and doesn't really like people, and then growing over time to become like this leader, this hero, this figurehead, to then becoming who he is in Logan, where he is this person who has been alive forever, and just kind of doesn't want it anymore. Someone who is so sick of living and who is so sort of upset with what he's become, that he just doesn't want it anymore. I also think if you want I think the second best representation of this character is honestly his cameo in X-Men First Class, where they show up and they say, "Hey, we're here to recruit you," and he just says, "Go fuck yourselves." That is classic Wolverine, and that is perfect. And then his character arc in Logan, I think, is also fantastic. It was the perfect send-off for that character. And I don't want them to reboot him because they can't do it better than this. Back away, MCU. Don't do Wolverine. Leave him alone.
Whoa. Disagree with that statement. Not saying they'll do better, but I think there are characters that could play Wolverine just fine. I talked about Wolverine a lot recently on the top 40 series. No, I mean X-Men and Spider-Man, those are my two. I will go hand in hand. Wolverine has not always been my favorite superhero, but on film, I mean, it's hard to pick. I really like Iceman, his few movies. They don't really show many characters besides Magneto, honestly, and he's the villain. Again, you pick Logan. Again, I've mentioned this numerous times on Logan itself as the movie. It's kind of depressing for me to watch, just because it should be, but it's like he doesn't have it anymore, and you're just watching him, and somebody needs to put him out of his misery. But through the character arc that he plays through all, 9 movies? 10? 10?
It's up there, yeah.
It's close. He's in so many movies. And he does so much incredible work. I think he's a perfect character. He actually did, I think the movies does Wolverine more justice than the comics ever did. If we're being real, because in the comics and stuff, he's kind of this rage monster most of the time, and not having. He has compelling stories, but he's not like what the movies has made him be, honestly. So it's kind of impressive what Hugh Jackman. I'm excited to see what they do with Wolverine inside the MCU, though. I think it will be incredible. Everybody else on Logan, I know mainly the reason why is because I said no comic books, I think, or at some post. Why no Logan, guys? And do you guys agree that if you would have included, would Logan have made your list if you included comic books?
Wouldn't have made my list per se, but I think it's a really good pick. I respect the pick. But again, X-Men movies aren't necessarily ones I come back to all the time, so I've only seen most of them once or twice for the most part. But still, a good character, and Jackman is incredible.
Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I didn't really exclude superheroes from my list per se. It's just like it just barely missed my list. I do love Logan. I love Hugh Jackman's portrayal of him. It's probably what's going to define Hugh Jackman's career from here on out, unless he does something really spectacular. But yeah,
Listen, he is Javert, okay?
But yeah, I love him in Logan. I actually haven't seen all of the X-Men movies. Mainly one that I'm scared to see that might have Wolverine in the title. So I don't have a full. I don't know the entirety of this character per se. But yeah, just barely missed my list.
I don't blame you for missing that one. Go ahead.
So I have a very weird relationship with the character of Wolverine. I don't really like him in comics. There's not really one story that he has that I think is great besides maybe the Old Man Logan one. So I've never been a Wolverine kid. And I think the movies significantly improve his character. Hugh Jackman significantly makes Wolverine someone I'm okay with watching. Like when they made X-Men movies, I was way more interested in seeing some of the other characters. Professor X is my favorite, like, X-Man of the ones on screen. So it's like, but like, so Professor X would be the X-Men I picked. Wolverine wouldn't make my list, but I get it. He's not. I think Jackman makes him a significantly better character with the levels that they give him, and Logan specifically is a movie that does a lot for Wolverine in film. So yeah, I get it, but he wouldn't have made mine. I just thought you like had an awkward meeting inside of a Walmart with Wolverine or something. That's why your relationship is a little weird, twisted. Like he stole something off the shelf during Black Friday. All right, what's your 4?
Yeah, we were having fun, and now we're going to not have fun and get really, really depressing. And I apologize to Cody, especially for making you talk about this movie. My 4 is Jaden from Short Term 12.
Oh, I totally.
Yeah, I know. Talking about this is going to be hard. Yeah,
I'm gonna take a break. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah. For those who haven't seen it, Short Term 12 is a movie about a basically center for troubled teens and the people that work there and the kids that are there. Jaden is one of the I don't want to say patrons there, but one of the teens who sort of staying there. And this is a movie that the first time I saw it, it just hit me so hard because like I'm a person who works with teenagers. I work with youth and counseling them is a big part of what I do. And so seeing just this is one of the most real portrayals of like a teenager in distress that I've ever seen. I think the performance is absolutely incredible. It's so real. It's so like just hard to watch. Like this is a movie that I always am like, oh, I love this movie and I want to rewatch it. But the moment I start watching it, I go, right, this is a heartbreaking experience. The scene specifically where she is sitting just on the floor of her room talking with Brie Larson, basically about her experiences, is one of the hardest things I've had to watch in movies in a long time. And it's so beautifully written and so incredible that just like, this is a character that has had a major impact on me that is going to continue to have that impact on me for a while. This is not fun to talk about, but it's...
Yeah. Okay.
And I know Cody, this movie hurts Cody for a very similar reason to why it hurts me.
Yeah. So I'll talk about it. Not to divulge so much, but I'm a foster parent right now. I have 3 kids that live with me. One we adopted. And this movie I didn't think would break me as much as it did. I am very well known as being a hard, angry person most of the time, but this movie I will never watch again. I will probably never watch it. I may watch it with my kids way down the line so they know like stories. But this one hurt me so bad is because there's so many kids out there that will never tell their story that they need to tell because of trauma and stuff. And you see kids acting out and you see kids having these rage moments and you don't understand why they have these rage moments. It's because they don't know how to express themselves. That scene where she pretty much gets held by the two counselors,
Rami Malek and John Gallagher Jr. Yeah,
they fall and she spits him in the face, and Rami Malek's new to the scene, doesn't understand it, and he's like, "Wow, is this really a day?" And they're like, "It's fine, it just happens." And these two, the thing that shows so much in this movie, and why I think I've bounced back and forth so many times of who I think is like one of the greatest young actresses working today. She will win an Oscar hands down at some point in her life. I think she
should have been nominated for this movie.
1,000%. I think, especially when she leaves the facility, she starts running and there's a break. And Brie Larson is a character in this movie that went through the same thing that pretty much Jaden went through, and they're walking and she keeps her distance. She knows she can't touch him. She's walking through, and like, you just have those moments. Like, this movie doesn't have a lot going on, but it has so much going on. And that's why I think this movie is absolutely incredible. I've not stopped thinking about this movie since I watched it. I don't think I will probably ever. It tells such a real story that needs to be told. And I think it's amazing. I totally forgot this was your list. I would totally have told you not. I wouldn't tell you not to bring it up. That's rude, but it's very rough. It's a super rough movie for me.
It is a movie that will break you down to tears, and then the moment you are done crying, it hurts you again.
Yes, and that baseball bat scene is probably
the baseball bat, the cupcake, Nina and the shark. It's all
it's great. Everybody else on short film.
Haven't seen it.
I also haven't seen it.
I watched it because of Holtzman. And I watched it at 2 a.m. on my own, and my eyes never left the screen. And it's fantastic. Jaden is an absolute incredible character. I totally get that being the one that you pick. I personally would have picked Marcus. Marcus is the character that I know Marcus in real life. That character is one that I connect to. So that's why when I saw Marcus's performance, when Marcus raps specifically, is the scene for me where it was like, I love this movie, but I don't think I can watch this movie again. It's a very difficult movie to watch. But yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, there's some painful movies out there that one-time viewing is all you kind of need, and it stays with you.
I can't recommend this movie enough, but also this movie.
I don't think I'll ever just be like, short-term 12. Let's watch it. Go ahead, Boatman. What is your 7?
My 7. This is
a toe change.
This is a movie that Thanksgiving is coming up. Love this movie. Del Griffith from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Talk about a tone change.
I
appreciate it. There's a reason why I did the scenario, the placement I did. So go ahead.
This is, to me, one of the greatest comedy movie characters of all time. And I think the reason why Del Griffith is such a great character, for those who don't know, John Candy's character, what makes Del Griffith so great is, for me, it's not just the comedic moments, though all the comedic moments are very great. You know, the shoes on the plane, the mess around, like a lot of fun. But really, it's the dramatic moments that make this character so much more three-dimensional. I think my favorite scene in this movie comes pretty early on, actually. It's the, you want to hurt me? You know, I like me. My wife likes me. Because there's a sense of real, tragedy behind his voice. He is clearly a bit of an oddball, but you also understand why people like him. You understand this charisma that's behind him, but there's also something incredibly tragic behind that lovable persona. I think it's such a well-written three-dimensional character, and I love this movie.
What a terrible no shit. I watched 1987 movies recently, and this is one of the ones I was so excited about because it's a rewatch. I'll probably watch it on Thanksgiving or around there again. The best film to happen over Thanksgiving. There's no either close, no comparison. I think this movie is
for the holidays.
No, I think this movie is absolutely perfect. I don't care, is it shot the best of everything? Script? No, I don't care. But this movie, in its nutshell, is one of the best movies I've ever watched. At times, I see myself in me and Boatman's Warzone relationship boils down sometimes as this two dynamic of Steve Martin and John Candy, and it's reversed. He's John Candy and I'm Steve Martin, which would be totally different if you saw us in real life. But this character of Del Griffin you're 100% right, because this is the funny moments. Yes, he's amazing, but his actual moments of showing his real side is great. I love you quoted it correct. My wife likes me. I may not be this great person, but then they have such a great dynamic together. I think this movie is so underrated. I think it's so underrated. Gosh, I could talk about this movie all day long. And I think you could choose both characters from this movie, but you're 100% right. Del Griffin is the way more likable character of this, and he has so much heart, and he's so damn funny. So well done. Boatman is batting pretty much 1,000 right now. We'll see if this continues. Everybody else on Del Griffin.
Yeah, this is my favorite Don Hughes movie. I've only seen it once, so that's why Dell didn't really jump to mind when I was making the list. But absolutely great choice. Without spoiling anything, there's a reveal towards the end that I think is incredibly heartbreaking and incredible. It really colors how you perceive him as a character, and it's honestly fantastic.
Thank you for not spoiling because I haven't seen it.
That's what I think.
You're going to lose access to my voodoo real fast until you watch this movie. I'm just letting you know that.
Okay.
It's around Thanksgiving. It's plenty of time to. You should watch it. Right
it's one that I planned to watch.
And it's not that long. I don't think it's that long. I think it's like
90 minutes.
It's 93 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
such a quick watch. I'll watch it on call. With
yeah,
you.
I watched this movie for the first time yesterday. Did
I see that in a review?
Yeah, I reviewed it. I watched like 6 movies yesterday. It definitely got buried in there.
That's probably why.
But no, I think this movie is fantastic. I think it's hilarious. Both of the main characters are fantastic. Dell is great. The two things that I knew from this movie were the "My wife likes me" scene, and the "Give me my car." And I always thought that the "My wife likes me" scene, I just assumed it came later in the film. And then it happens in the first 20 minutes and he breaks your heart and then spends the next hour just like making you fall in love with him, despite him being one of the most annoying people you've ever seen in your life. But like, he's just so charismatic the whole time. He's so happy. He's like, this is just who I am. Is that so wrong? And it's like, nah, dude, you're chill. You're good.
Your review, by the way, is perfect, I think. Breaks your heart in 20 minutes in and then fills it with joy for the next hour. I think that's perfect. Yeah. Did you guys share a list? Why did you watch it just all of a sudden yesterday?
Who?
Because I can finally watch movies that I haven't seen in a long time, and I know it's American Thanksgiving soonish.
So no collusion. Okay, just making sure, double checking. Because Paul, I call Paul. I already put those on the screen. But yes, I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, what's your 6, Boatman? Let's see. Can you keep it going?
My 6 is CC Baxter from the Department.
That's going to be a yikes.
What?
I was waiting.
Is this real?
Is
this real? Wait a minute.
The apartment?
The apartment got yiked? I'm so blown away. This is... Guys, stop. This show is off the rails.
And this man is pretty equally.
How do you know what Doc's favorite movie is, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, well, the show's off the rails. I don't know where we're going. If he didn't have the apartment, I would be really worried right now, to be honest with you. Just missed his list. This is 11. No, Doc's the only one that did send me like 15, so he gets a cover if anybody puts something he doesn't. So what's your next one?
My 5 is Don Vito Corleone from The Godfather. Yeah. To me, like, obviously, this character is incredibly iconic and imitatable and all these other things, but I think there's honestly just so much going on behind that. Like, obviously, it's like an incredible performance, but just the character itself of someone who has so much power and so much responsibility on those shoulders, but also has this sense of incredible calmness, but also this sense of he is clearly a nefarious person. He is not completely innocent in terms of the law. He clearly does things that we are not morally okay with, but he also has this sense of justifying them that I think you do get sucked into watching this movie. And I think Vito Corleone is an incredibly complicated character, but you also get a sense that he loves his sons. He absolutely loves his sons. And I think Vito is a great character. I understand the argument for Michael, who you could argue is the more transformative character as his journey throughout the series, but I think Vito just stands out so much and has such a looming power that he works better for me.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think because it's tough. Because can you say that Michael is not like a bad guy in this, like especially near me, or is he doing or is everybody a bad guy technically in this movie because they all mob mentality? You know what I mean?
Every murder, every mob hit, every bad thing, they all know it. They're all culpable in a sense.
No, so and I'm just making sure I got this correct. You're doing Vito like Marlon Brando, like
I am also including De Niro.
Okay. No,
if I had to pick one, I would prefer.
I guess you're right. No, they're both the same character. No, you're right. No, I think it's so, especially in the first one, because he's got so much power. He's got so much things, and still stuff happens under his nose that he has no idea about, that he basically gets taken out because of it. I think he's so complex, and I thought it was, before I watched it, I always thought it was like the meme or the thing, like making an offer you can't refuse, like, okay, cool, you're that character. But to realize how much like loyalty and respect and honor that comes with him, I think it's a fantastic choice. Again, I would probably have done Michael, but I understand why, because I get it. Both are 100% acceptable in this situation. Vito is maybe just more of the off choice, but I respect it. Everybody else, no one else had Vito. I don't know if any other Godfather ones will come up later. Why not?
I would have gone.
Koho hasn't seen Godfather 2 yet.
I have not seen Godfather 2 yet. But Michael would have been my pick just based off the first one because Al Pacino, obviously. But Michael, I think is the more compelling character to me from the first one that I would have gone with.
Yeah, Vito's iconic, absolutely. I also would have gone with Michael, except Michael missed my list specifically because Godfather 3 exists. And it kind of screws his character arc. And also I tried to avoid characters that, like, are they protagonists, antagonists? Is it kind of iffy? I'm going to break that rule at a point. But for the most part, I tried to avoid the gray area there.
Holtzman.
Yeah, I've seen The Godfather once. I've seen The Godfather Part 2 once. I've never seen The Godfather Part 3. I think honestly my favorite character is probably I'm gonna blank on his first name. John Cazale. Is he Sonny?
No.
No, he's Fredo.
He's Fredo. Yeah, I think he might be my favorite part of the trilogy, but I think Vito's probably the correct pick. I think he's the most iconic. There's a reason that specifically an outline of him was the thumbnail for 10 straight episodes of the Top 100. Yeah.
I think two things. One, I think Paul makes a very good point. Robert Duvall's character is very good in The Godfather. I think he's very I think that's correct. And who would have fucking guessed that Koho's a Al Pacino shill now of all of a sudden? So I'm so shocked by the development this year. But I respect it. But I'm waiting for the day they watch this Kramer vs. Kramer. Just not Pacino. So anyways, go to your 4.
Could happen.
It's guaranteed to happen. I can call it from a mile away. You will never agree. But go ahead, Boatman. What's your 4?
My 4 is Marge Gunderson from Fargo.
That's my 7.
Okay. Let's talk about her.
Okay. I think Marge Gunderson is one of the most like lovable protagonists in all of film. Like, she clearly just has this sense of right. She has this sense of, I think my favorite scene with her is All for a Little Bit of Money. I think that's Koho will criticize my Minnesota accent, but I think that scene is where you really get the power of her character, because that's where you see everything about her morals on the line. But she has the goofiness, she has the funniness. But she also has that heart from that scene. I also love the scene with her and her former classmate and just how she handles that completely awkward interaction. But she's also a brilliant mind and a brilliant detective. She knows how to work the case, and she can see right through Jerry Lundegaard from the beginning. It's easily one of my favorite characters ever. Just Coen brother. It's my favorite Coen brothers character. I think Marge is just incredible, and Frances McDormand portrays her to a T.
Fargo is so fucking good. I love this movie to death. Marge is the best character in it for me. And I think it's mainly from Frances McDormand. I think she gives a lot of warmth to that character. Marge just radiates goodness into every scene in a movie that is so harsh in a lot of ways. It's a movie that, like, a lot of the different characters are just so mean to each other. Like, Steve Buscemi, who is hurling insults at Peter Stormare, like all the movie. And Peter Stormare, when he says a few words, it's usually a threat. And Jerry is just lying. But whenever Marge shows up, it's just, you feel like everything's right again. She has one of my favorite Coen brother jokes of all time, with the personalized plates joke. I couldn't get personalized plates, so he went and changed his name to J3L2404. She's great all the way through. She is my second favorite Coen Brothers character. This Coen Brothers watch has been great, and I adore Fargo.
I hate with the second because fuck, I know it's the first. No, I think I just rewatched this, and everybody was talking about so highly, like how much they love Fargo. I was like, did I miss something the first time I watched it? Maybe the second time I watched it. I'm not a huge Coen Brothers fan, but Fargo is honestly, the fact that this movie is as good as it is with the runtime it has is a testament to its brilliance of this movie. It does a lot of world building and a lot of like investigation work and all that stuff, and in the amount of time of like a CSI episode. So well done to that, and it has so much complex characters in it.
It's a piece of a movie.
It is. And there's so many big characters in this movie, and probably the best character is the most simple, the most by the book. The like, I don't know. My scene that I really like in this movie is like when she's getting up because she gets the phone call and her husband's like, "I'll make you breakfast." There's like, no, stay asleep. No, I'll make you breakfast. You gotta have breakfast. Blah blah. And like, they just have this like husband and wife relationship before she goes off to work. It's a sweet moment that you have, and he does it right. They do it all. Coen Brothers definitely not Cody.
There's also
but they're hit and miss for me. Like the more I'm looking at it, like I like maybe 40% of the stuff that I've seen of theirs, but I dislike some of it. But with Fargo and how they did it for the whole when she goes back into the office for the final time and was like, "You sure?" And like she's just calm and he's getting more frustrated and getting more angry because it's falling through basically, and he speeds off and, "Oh, we got a runner." It's honestly just a very dark. But this character is so sweet throughout this movie. I really enjoy this movie. I'm really mad it took me so long to get a rewatch of it.
And my favorite review you've ever given, I found the other day. I am so glad Koho doesn't talk like the people in this movie.
I mean, it's a fact. But if you did, we would not be friends.
There are so many people who live up here who 100% sound like the people in these movies. In this movie,
I've said this before. I've checked out a lady that has the exact same like at a restaurant. Like not a restaurant at when I was working at a convenience store. She came through and swore that cell phones were like robbing people's identities and talked just like Marge Gunderson, and it literally freaked me the hell out. Like it was like, "Oh, you bet you ain't." Like crazy. It's so creepy. She lives around here. It's so scary. Every time
you betcha those cell phone companies are stealing your identity there, Cody.
You're dumb shit for doing that. I'm like, okay. And now I work at a cell phone company. Okay. Anyways, two people didn't have.
It's an arc. That's a Coen Brother arc right there.
There it is. So why didn't you guys have it? Do you just like hate good movies or good characters? Go ahead.
Feel like I'm being set up.
Go for it.
Welcome to the show.
I made a short list of like 40 when I was just brainstorming. I made a list of like 40 characters, and Marge was one of them. So I thought about it for sure. For sure. But I've only seen this movie just a couple times, and I like I think she's a fantastic character. It's just one of the ones that didn't quite come to mind, or it just hasn't quite become that personal of a movie for me yet. I can keep making excuses all day, but I just had 10 spots that I wanted to put.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah. I saw this movie. I've seen it once. I saw it when I was like 13 or 14, when I was like, oh, hey, indie movies are a thing. And then I haven't seen it since. I really need to rewatch it because I have since started watching more Coen Brothers stuff, and I like what I've seen. I remember liking the character. I remember her being very funny. Just it's been a hot minute since I've seen it, and I definitely need to revisit it.
We did one for Tarantino. Let's do one for Coen. I don't know about that. Coho would definitely have to host.
I will.
Coho
for
was
sure.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Sure, Cody. Oh, for sure.
All right, tell us what your 7 is, Coho.
So my number 7 was Marge Gunderson for Fargo. It just slipped out. Fargo. Anyway, my number 6 is the Harrison Ford character that I gravitate to more. It's Indiana Jones. I have always liked Indiana Jones more than Star Wars. I don't really know why. I think I just kind of enjoy the like weird ties to history and archaeology that Indiana Jones has. It's just more my speed. Okay, well, Temple of Doom is a bad movie. Every franchise has their bad movies. But I think through all 4 of them, Harrison Ford has a lot of fun, and I love watching him play that character. He's like, even if like Temple of Doom and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull don't have great stories, I love watching Indiana Jones in them, especially in like Raiders and Last Crusade. I think he's just having a blast. He is the action movie hero to me. Like if I had to pick one that's like, this is the action adventure hero for me, it's Indiana Jones. Every time, just from the shot in Raiders when we first see his silhouette in the jungle, it's just from that moment to running from the boulder to just snakes might have to be snakes. Fun fact, Indiana Jones is the franchise that gave me my fear of snakes. Like I find a lot of love in Indiana Jones, and I love watching that character through all the adventures and through it all. And I think that comes from Harrison Ford just being that perfect leading action dude, and just this character being super well written, as not just being like a punch him out. He uses his brain to solve so many puzzles, while also punching Nazis. That's my hero right there. Punching Nazis and reading books. Indiana Jones is my action hero. But yeah.
You said something that's so correct. Indiana Jones gave me my fear of snakes as well. Anything that moves and doesn't have legs, fuck off. That's the devil. There's no question about it. Not a fan at all. I like all the Indiana Jones movies except the 4th one. I think Temple of Doom is fine. I don't think it's as atrocious as everybody says it is, and that's fine. You're 100% right though. Indiana Jones. Don't just nitpick comments, okay?
No, I did Scully's before it. Scully's before it, so it isn't bad.
Okay. Indiana Jones is the character that I think of when I think of Harrison Ford. Like, I understand that Han Solo is probably people gravitate to. Indiana Jones, that whole character, I absolutely enjoy. Do your Aldo. Oh God,
I want to hear it. I want to hear it really bad.
We'll hear it in a second.
If he's not on the list, you're not doing it.
No, but yeah, Indy is that character that I love. You're right. Punching Nazis makes the world go round. So great choice on Indiana Jones. I've said a lot about Indy before, so I have no issue with it. What did everybody? No one else had Indiana Jones, so that's kind of interesting. Why no Indiana? All I'm asking is you don't do the Connery impression of that we named the dog Indiana. That's what I hope you don't do. You can do Aldo Ray. Do not do the Connery one.
I wasn't. If I did Connery, I would be.
Famous titles. That's his title.
What was that?
Shut up.
Right.
Gorlami. Okay. But yeah, I think Indiana Jones is at his best when he's an absolute dork. Indiana, like seriously, I think that's the thing that people don't appreciate enough about Indiana Jones. He's kind of a nerd. He's just a dork at some points. Like that belongs. He is very passionate that things go into museums. Like he's a Boy Scout. He's kind of a dork. But I think that's what makes him more interesting than a lot of action heroes. Is that he is so passionate about this stuff. You know, he's not just a shoot first, ask questions later type of guy. He only uses the violence when he absolutely needs to. But I think he has that duality. It's a really good character. He was on my short list.
Yeah, I'll go. I think like Indiana Jones is a really cool character. I think he's a very cool dude. He is very fun. He is also objectively a bad person. I'm sorry, it's true. But part of this is he keeps saying it belongs in a museum. No, it doesn't. It belongs with the culture that you are taking things from. He seduced Marion Ravenwood when she was underage and he was like in his late 20s. There's some problems, but I mean, the movies are fun. Last Crusade is the best one. It's been a hot minute since I've seen these.
And yeah, he was also on my short list. I tended to kind of exclude franchises from my list. Not for any unspoken rule or anything, but usually there's a bad movie in the franchise that colored my perception of the character. And there's a couple Indiana Jones movies I'm not a big fan of. So kind of held him from my list.
That is
the
a
King
fair
of the Crystal Skull #1.
Is Kingdom the worst of them? Real quick.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Kingdom's the worst.
Temple's
Yeah.
Temple is not great, but it at least has the amazing opening scene.
Facts. Thank you. Well, move on. Another where we win. Shut your mouth. 3-2. You lose. Okay. What's your next one?
Heyo, this is my slight cheat. Slight cheat. He is only bad in one movie, and the next several, he is a hero. And he proves it by the fifth one. Captain Hector Barbossa from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. So, yes, he is the villain of the first one, but he is completely redeemed by At World's End, On Stranger Tides, and Dead Men Tell No Tales. He is completely redeemed in those movies as being a hero.
We gave Red Shaw powers to the channel. I forgot about that.
No, you gave Holzman powers.
Yeah, Holtzman. You said Red Shaw. Holtzman, you haven't learned yet. Don't touch my controls. Okay. Look, Hector Barbossa is probably one of my favorite. It's definitely one of my favorite characters. Period. Just because I think Jeffrey Rush put such life into him. Like, yeah, when he's the bad guy, he is a great villain. But I think I like him more when he's fighting at Jack's side than when he's fighting Jack. Like in At World's End, when they're fighting in the Maelstrom and he marries Will and Elizabeth, is a great scene. It's not the getting there, it's the getting back. He just has all the best parts to a lot of these movies that I just really hold dear. I think Barbossa is so great as sort of being this needling presence at Jack. But at the end of the day, he's always trying to make Jack better. Like in the fifth one, he and Jack have that really great conversation where he's like where they're talking about parentage and like legacy. And I think it's a really great scene. One of the only really great scenes in the fifth one. But like through and through, I think one of the most hype endings to a movie I've ever seen is Dead Man's Chest. And they're like, you're going to need a guide. And he steps out and he's like, tell me what's become of my ship. And we ended on that. It's great. Barbossa is one of my favorite parts of this entire franchise, and he's fantastic.
Okay. Koho sent this to me and said, doesn't count. I said defend it. Basically is what I said, defend it. I disagree because I think the best Barbossa is the villainous Barbossa. I love him in that first one. I think he's great, especially my favorite line of the entire series is you best start believing in ghost stories. You're in one. When they all turn skeletons, I'm like, this is fucking sweet. And their battle where they're dueling against each other. I do like the scene where he comes out and he's like, what's become of my ship? But honestly, I hate the last three of. I don't hate. I shouldn't say that. I'm disappointed by the third one. The fourth and fifth are literally an abomination.
I think he's the best part of 4 and 5, though.
That's fine, but like the best turn of the bunch. I'm sorry, I just don't give a crap at that point. I don't think those movies are good by any means. I will take the 3 and give them their passes. When they continue the characters where it got robbed. Again, I like Hector Barbosa as the villain. And I honestly, that's why I think Pirates don't get enough credit, because their first 2 movies have 2 great fucking villains, and they squander it. So, fine. Barbosa's my favorite of the series. So I like him throughout all the movies, even when he's good, but I like him when he's mean and when he's bad. Shocking. I like the villain. What does everybody else? Does Koho make enough case to defend Hector Barbosa for being on this list? Let's go to the panel.
No.
Not really. Here's my thing. I think Barbosa is a better performance as a character. I don't really gravitate to Barbosa necessarily on a character level. I think Jeffrey Rush is doing all the heavy lifting. It's clear I get sucked in with how much fun Jeffrey Rush is having, but as a character, I'm not really super concerned about the arc of Barbosa. I don't really know what happens to Barbosa. It's my time to talk. You be quiet. Barbosa, I'm not really.
Sorry, Karen.
I'm not really concerned with the arc of Barbosa, but I think, again, it's a great performance from Jeffrey Rush.
This is kangaroo court.
No one cares. Again, I'm very happy with the performance, but I think the arc of Barbosa doesn't really intrigue me as much. It's a funny moment with them on the ship fighting when he's trying to ordain them at World's End. I think it's a fun moment, but overall, as someone who just watched World's End a couple days ago, I think that he's just kind of part of the plot more than being an super interesting character. I think he's a good villain, but I don't love the character. I love the performance of him.
Koho hates it when people touch his controls. It's
Oh,
literally one of his biggest pet peeves. Koho, what?
Shouldn't have interrupted me then.
Okay,
You're about to lose access to the StreamYard entirely.
Oh yeah, because Cody wants that to happen.
Okay.
Cool. So my opinion. Yeah, no. I think I agree. Best Barbosa is first movie Barbosa, where he's the bad guy. 2, he's not really there except for one line. You can't call that a hero or a villain. It's just a cameo that is mildly neutral. 3, sure, I guess he's kind of a good guy at that point. He's not really doing anything good, but he's no longer objectively the villain. He's just sort of a dick that's there. And then 4, kind of a non-agent, but is just there, and he sucks in 4, just like everything else does in 4. He's bad in 4.
He's the only good thing in 4. Also.
Nope. And number 5, again, kind of a non-agent, and we're just supposed to like him because, the new character is his daughter. Good for him. You got some. Nice. Yeah, no, that's he ain't a hero, my dude. He is at best neutral.
I hate it.
I don't like where this is going. Okay, what is your 4, Koho? Redeem yourself. Sorry, Retro. You said no. I thought you talked more. My bad.
No. I don't have much to say because I'm 3 years removed from my last watches of the series. I remember not liking 3, 4, or 5. And honestly, I'm straining to remember anything about Barbosa beyond the first movie. So I don't have much to say about Hero Barbosa. But
I'm telling you so much. Every time I'm liking Red Shaw more and more by the day. Go ahead with your 4.
My 4 is what we call redemption and a half. He is the best character in one of my favorite film series. His name is Adonis Creed in Creed. He is one of the most interesting characters I've ever seen in a movie. Just because he has so much to work with. And they have so much story that they get to build off of as this kid who never knew his famous dad and having to live in the shadow of the greatest fighter to ever live when you also just want to fight, not even because your dad was a fighter. And that entire arc in the first movie, it's just to the point where at the end of the first movie, and he loses the fight, but they still go, hey, if your dad were here, what's something you want to say? And just say, I'd tell him that I love him. And I know that he would be proud of me right now if he could be here. And just that moment is so powerful. And to continue it in Creed 2 by having him fight the son of the guy who killed him was just the natural next step. But just see the pain that he goes through that movie where he's like, I have to take this fight, but I know that if I take this fight, I could die just like him. And then what's my legacy? And just balancing all the different aspects of Donnie. Donnie is such a great character. And I think Michael B. Jordan crushes the performance in both movies. I really love the Rocky Creed series all the way through. I love the Creeds a lot. And that mainly comes from Adonis as a whole, just as that character is so great. Yeah, Adonis Creed's great.
I fought this for a long time because I still thought Stallone's movies were better. It's no longer that case. I do not like Creed 2 as much as I like Creed 1. I still hate the ending. I still hate the ending of Creed 2. Nothing will change that. I don't like the throw-in of the towel. But Donnie is a character that actually just has more going on than Stallone ever did. Stallone was that character that you rooted for and you hoped for, and he was the person. He was the underdog, but to be honest, he was the underdog for one movie. He became the Italian Stallion. He became the champion of the world. There was no real ever chance of him having to battle from something. I think where Creed gets so much credit from where he is just he has more to lose than Rocky ever did. Because he's fighting for his father's legacy. He's also fighting that, didn't know his dad, basically. He had to fight all those fights to become the fighter he was. His having daughter, which is similar to Rocky, but you know more about Bianca, you know more about them than you ever really knew about Adrian. You know of her, you don't get to know as much struggles as Bianca has, and then his mom and everybody having to see this, and him getting into the same profession that his dad died in. It's this heartbreaking moment, and overall, I think Creed is a character that transcends this movie. I think he's incredible. Great choice. He would be on my list too. So, no one else had Creed. Boo boxing. Why did no one have Creed? Go ahead.
Scully and I are the sports guys in this group. These guys don't do sports.
They hit each other. Why? Go ahead.
I think you summed it up with the words "boo boxing." I don't like sports movies really. I know Boat doesn't. I think Redshaw is at most neutral towards them. I think I like the Creed movies more than I like the Rocky movies. I think Adonis as a character is good. I don't feel any sort of connection to him whatsoever. I think just the subject matter of the movie makes me very closed off to caring. Yeah.
Well, that's fair.
What's wrong with Bo's voice?
Oh no.
Did you mute him?
I think I know what happened here. Should I go?
Okay, all right, am I back?
All right.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Anyway, I am.
Take his mic volume down.
Yeah, I can.
I did not do. I don't know if I would go as far as Holtzman did, but I do think the sports element does stop me from connecting a little bit. But there are plenty of sports characters I do think I connect with. Basically, anyone from Remember the Titans. But at the end of the day, I think it's more that I just have a tougher time connecting with this franchise in particular. But I also think I need to give these movies a rewatch.
Yeah, I love Creed.
Changer.
Yeah, I love Creed. I'm a little more mixed on Creed too. But honestly, my favorite character from Creed is Rocky Balboa. I find him a little more compelling than Donnie. Just Rocky sort of towards the end of his life where he's convinced himself that he's lost everything that matters to him and then finds something new that might matter to him, and him just trying to come to terms with that and his struggle with cancer. I find that a little bit more compelling than Donnie's story. Rocky was actually on my top 15. You can check it. I'm not a liar.
Sure.
Okay. Doc, 7 through 4.
Yes. My number 7 is my favorite Pixar character, Marlin from Finding Nemo.
Yikes.
Woo. All right.
Boat doesn't have Albert Brooks.
If we have more Albert Brooks on our list than Boat does, that's going to be something.
And then Boat needs to turn in his Albert Brooks fan card.
What the actual fuck, Boatman? Why do we keep you around? Go ahead. Next one.
My 7 is Samantha from Her.
That's very valid.
That's the one that I was waiting for. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, when I was first making this list, when it was protagonists, I was trying to reason with myself why I wasn't putting Theodore on the list. And I think it's because Theodore is a really excellent vehicle for this story, but Samantha is actually the more interesting, compelling character to me. I just think it's really interesting her having essentially she can feel and talk and everything about her is human except for her intelligence and her lack of physical being. And just watching her, or well, I guess listening to her, just learn how to be more human, but also seeing her intelligence kind of exceed the ability of being in love with humans, I think is really fascinating. I love that it's my favorite portrayal of the future ever, and how it doesn't go into apocalyptic type stuff and goes in a completely different direction that I think works even better is just great. And I think it's Scarlett Johansson's best performance. So, and it's only through voice.
Yeah. This is the character that I was thinking from Her. It's crazy. I don't know. I hate kind of watching movies for the show, just because I have to the judge's hat on, can pretty much put it in a vice and see if I like it or not. I'm glad I watched this before this topic came up, because Samantha is a character that is so amazing, and it's just from voice alone. That ending, kind of, where he sits down on the stairs and they have that confession with it, she basically opens up, and you're just oh man, you feel for Theodore, but you actually feel like Samantha's breaking at that point. It's very touching, and this movie is very weird. I will say it's a weird movie when you think of the concept, but how great it's delivered is Paul. I'll tell you,
Paul is the best ScarJo's Ghost in the Shell, though, so it's fine.
Was that right?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. I was just.
If anyone says that that's the best ScarJo, then y'all need to fucking.
I assume Paul is talking about Under the Skin.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
If that's fair,
so, yeah.
I didn't see.
I think this is a great choice. I was going to watch that, but apparently that didn't come out in 2013, so I have to.
Not a Cody movie.
Thanks, Boatman. All right, so yeah, I think this is a great choice. I think this is the correct choice from Her. Everybody else on Samantha.
All right. Yeah, I think that. Well, nobody else is going.
I know.
I think that Samantha, they really do bring this human aspect to Samantha, despite the fact that she's not a human character. I think there's such an interesting dynamic. The reason I kind of dismissed both Samantha and Theodore is because I don't know if those characters work in a vacuum. I think what makes that movie so special is how they interact off of each other. And I think those characters work best together rather than separate.
Those are also both great.
Yeah, I saw this also for the first time this year, I believe. This is not a Cameron movie. This is very weird. Very overtly sexual, which is not really a Cameron thing. I think it's a very interesting character dynamic. I think the performance is fantastic. Just again, this is one of those things where because the movie's not for me, I had a very hard time sort of opening up and connecting with that character.
No, that's very fair. That kind of took me out at times too. So go ahead.
My thing with Samantha is kind of the same as Paul. I do think she's fantastic and is the best part of the movie. But to me, I think Theodore is the better character. I think mainly because we have to feel the whole story through Theodore's perspective. I think it kind of defaults him to being the brunt of which all the story kind of comes. I do love Samantha in this movie, so I will not fault you. I think she's a great part of this movie, and I think Johansson is fantastic, and honestly would have been my winner for Best Supporting Actress in 2013. But yeah, I just love the movie Her. I think it's fantastic.
Okay, what is your 5?
Okay, so I, for the most part, excluded historical figures and exclude people with gray areas with whether they were the villain or the protagonist. And I broke both of these rules for my number 5. My number 5 is Antonio Salieri from Amadeus. I find this character absolutely fascinating. I love the idea of a character who is smart enough to know, to recognize talent, but isn't talented enough to actually be that talent himself. And just how Salieri just views and tries to undercut Amadeus throughout the course of this movie. I just think it's fascinating to watch, and how Salieri blames himself for Mozart's death and how he comes to grips with that in the mental institution. I just find his character so fascinating and so complex. So yeah.
I think this is a good choice. I like that you kept it away and then finally broke through. No, this is still my favorite. This is still my favorite movie that I've ever. Second favorite movie probably that I've ever had to watch because of this community. That never paid off. I think this is a fantastic choice. And how you described it at the beginning is to know talent but not be talent. How did you describe it? I just lost
to be smart enough to recognize talent, but not be talented enough to actually be that talent.
Exactly. I think that's a brilliant thing. I think this character is absolutely. It is one of those films. When I was thinking of all the characters that kind of come up, I didn't think about this one. But the more I saw it in your list, the more it makes perfect sense. I think this character is absolutely fantastic and performed amazing.
Oh yeah.
No questions. This movie is long. This movie flies by. I think it's incredible that it can do both of us. So everybody else on this, I think everybody has actually seen it on this panel at this time.
Yeah, I really enjoy Amadeus. I saw it this year. I've only seen the director's cut. Yeah, that was the only version I could find. And so I felt the length a little bit more than I think I would have with the theatrical. But I do think Salieri is great. Again, I just excluded real life people. I could have made a whole list of real life people in film that I think are great characters, and Salieri would have been very high on that list. So this is a fantastic choice.
Same as Koho. I disqualified any real life people from being on my list. But if I included real life people, Salieri would absolutely be on this list. I think the way his obsession with Mozart grows throughout the film really is so fascinating to me. And I think the ending of mediocrities, I absolve you, is just perfect.
Yeah, I saw this last year, I think, or maybe earlier this year. I don't know. Time doesn't exist anymore. I think this movie is fantastic. I think this is the right character. This just wasn't even a movie I really thought of. I think this is a great pick. And I think it's one of the perfect examples of a character who, in his eyes, he is doing everything that is right and he is the hero, but because it's told from his perspective. But the moment you look at it from Mozart's perspective, you realize, oh no, maybe he's kind of the bad guy. Maybe just a little bit. He's not the good person in this story. So I think it's a really interesting choice for a very conflicted character. I respect it.
All right. What is your 4?
Okay, and then my number 4 is Will Hunting from Good Will Hunting.
I think he's pretty good.
From everyone's favorite movie about aggressively going to consignment shops. I'm sorry. But yeah, Will Hunting, something in a character that I find really fascinating is a character that just kind of doesn't allow themselves to be happy. And that's kind of the whole thing with Will Hunting is he's incredibly brilliant. But I might be kind of leaning into spoilers. But
I haven't seen the movie. So
okay.
I'll do this.
Well, I can't quite talk about it all.
I'll give you the thumbs up when you come back.
Okay. But basically, he doesn't think he deserves better than the life he's giving himself. He blames himself for being abused as a child, blames himself for being an orphan, and all of that. So his pride makes it so he has to display his intelligence, but he's also mentally convinced himself that he doesn't deserve what his intelligence deserves. And I think that's really complex and a lot to think about. And his dynamic with Sean, Robin Williams' character, I think is just incredible and heartbreaking and all that. So,
yeah, I think I have to like this movie more than most because of the Affleck and Damon pairing on this for my Boston fan base. No, but I think this movie is absolutely incredible. I think Will is an absolute great character. It's actually probably like the next 5 movies on my rewatch that I need to rewatch that I haven't because I'm trying to get my letterbox stats in the correct row. But it's on there. I can't wait to rewatch this movie. Yes, I think Will's a fantastic character. And how you described it, again, you're really good at describing things. I would agree. Of just how complex that character really is, and like of the relationship between him and Robin's character, and the inner conflict that he basically has. I think it's great. I think it's a perfect choice. Probably an unconventional choice. No one else had it. But I think it's really good. Everybody else on Good Will Hunting or Will Hunting from Good Will Hunting, and Koho, you can come back. I think no one else can spoil, but go ahead. Bowman, go.
I went first every time, but okay.
No one else can talk.
Fair. Will Hunting, I think my favorite scene with this character, even though all the Robin Williams scenes are great, I love this scene where he intellectually shows up that douchebag at the bar, completely breaking him down of like, okay, well, right now you believe this thing, but then you're going to read this guy, and then for the next year, you're going to believe that. And then the next year, you're going to read this guy, and you're going to believe that. And just the way he just intellectually kicks that dude's ass is amazing. And I love characters that use their wits, and I think that's what makes Will Hunting great. I think, honestly, biggest thing that kept Will from getting on my list is the fact that I haven't seen this movie in a while. And I've been meaning to rewatch it because I watched it first when I was like 16, and I feel like this movie would have a way bigger impact on me 4 years later.
Yeah, this is a movie that I have seen once. I liked it. I think I need to revisit it because this is another movie that I saw when I was like 13 to 15, starting to get into film. And I was like, oh, this is good, and then never revisited it, and I don't really remember it very well. I remember Robin Williams more from this movie, I think just because as much as I think Will might be the better character, I think the better scenes are the ones that heavily play to Robin Williams' character. But no, I think the way you explained it, this is a great pick. And I think Boat loves that scene in the bar because that's just his fantasy, is making jocks look bad by being smart.
You're not wrong.
It's 1,000%.
It's mine,
like
but it's mine too. Like, I think every person who plays trivia, that's their fantasy.
Yeah, I'm not very good at. I can't beat you up, but I can beat you up with my mind. Yes, and Letterboxd has literally ruined my entire movie watching this year, but in the best way possible. Follow me on Letterboxd. Follow everybody on Letterboxd. It's a great time, and you can yell at people for having terrible choices. Okay, now we're in the top 3. This whole episode's long, but what do you expect, Kingsman? Holtzman, what's your 3?
My 3 is Owen from the way back.
Yikes.
Boatman. Yes, Boatman will yikes Owen because Sam Rockwell.
Okay, what's your 3, Boatman?
My 3 is the genie from Aladdin.
Hell yeah, Will Smith.
Oh, what are you laughing?
I'm not laughing. I'm in pain.
Okay.
Wait, is this Will Smith or Robin?
I'm not brain damaged, so it's Robin Williams. Yeah. This is just one of like the greatest just dynamic side comedic relief characters, animated characters. Like, there's a reason everyone remembers and loves the genie. He just bounces off the screen from the minute he shows up. Obviously, all the impressions are super funny, but there's a real heart and a real connection to Aladdin that builds with the genie, but he's also pure chaos in every second. He is clearly operating at Robin Williams operating at his peak of improvisational abilities, and it's taking Robin Williams at his peak of improvisational and editing that down to the very best of the very best. So you're absolutely getting just perfection out of the genie, and I just think every moment with every impression, it's comedic gold at every moment. And I love it to an extreme degree.
Yeah. Basically, I've said this numerous times. Williams is my favorite comedic actor. I think what he's been able to do with all his roles, he kind of makes everybody want to try voices and try to be that funny guy in the room, for being just and doesn't look like it would come from him. The genie is one of those characters that I think is basically, I won't touch on the Aladdin from 2019. I think that's fine, but couldn't hold Williams, jockstrap from 92. I think Aladdin overall is that character. The genie character is, you're 100% right. From his singing to his just the character work of how many things he's playing in this movie, to be honest. Like, he's playing so much and working in his box and doing so well in all of it. It is probably one of my top 5 Disney characters of all time. It stayed with me over time. I think this character is absolutely brilliant. From its heartfelt moments of Genie, from where it's struggling with the inner conflict of who he is and what he has to do with his job, and to when he gets set free, to basically all the celebrity impressions that he does throughout this entire film. And again, his singing is, I still think it's so underrated in this, because those 2 songs that he sings are probably the best from the movie. So, great choice with the genie. I have no problem with that. What's up, everybody? No genie. That's a little surprising. Why not?
Is the oh shit counter still around? Because I just completely overlooked this one, honestly. When I was first making my list, I was still kind of in the movie protagonist mindset. So I looked at Aladdin and just kind of scrolled past and didn't give it a second thought, and just kind of completely forgot. Because Aladdin's my second favorite Disney movie. I love Aladdin. I love the genie. This is just an oversight.
The genie is like probably my favorite animated performance of all time, and I totally forgot because when I made my list, it hit was protagonists, and that is all on me, and I'm a moron, and I should have the genie, and the genie would be very high on my list. This is a great pick. I am very mad that I didn't think of it.
What's your second?
Yeah.
What's your first, Redshaw? Sorry, I'm cutting this off.
I'll just say you would be happy with my first pick.
Okay, go ahead. What's your? Go ahead, Holton.
Yeah, I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. I don't really have much of a memory of watching this as a kid, so I basically counted me watching it this year as sort of the first time I watched it because I had no memory of this movie. I think the genie is fantastic. I think he's an amazing character. I think one of the reasons this didn't cross my mind is this movie is not my favorite telling of the Aladdin story, nor is 2019's Aladdin.
I hate you.
The other three on this call know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know too, and I wasn't there.
No, I think this is a great pick. Cody is the one who I think doesn't know what I'm talking about.
No, Cody knows it, and Boatman can't think of it right now. It's all your fault, Jafar.
Yeah.
It's twisted.
But no, this is a great pick and I respect it. Just again, I don't have that connection to it. So yeah.
I still haven't seen the other thing that you guys all reviewed, but whatever. Sure, I bet it's great. Koho, did you talk?
Yeah, I love the genie. It should have been on my list. I'm just a dumbass.
Okay. That's fair. What is your 3, Koho?
I was gonna say my favorite animated performance. Now it's my second favorite animated performance because I forgot about the genie. It's Marlin from Finding Nemo.
This is my 7th.
Marlin is my favorite Pixar character, for sure. I think Albert Brooks is doing a great job of just giving life to this really cynical clownfish from the Pacific Ocean. It's just insane. I love his journey as just like. I think my favorite little thing from the very beginning of this movie that he has is we'll name this half Marlin Jr. and we'll name this half Coral Jr. Okay, we're done. I like Nemo. And it's such a great opening scene where it's just like, well, we can name one Nemo, but I would like the majority of them to be named Marlin Jr. And you just take that all the way forward to losing all of them except the one and naming it Nemo and being super protective. To the point where he is chasing his son all the way across the sea to save him is such a beautiful story. And Albert Brooks is very much to credit for Marlin as a character. He does a lot in this performance. And it's just down to you think you could do these things, but you just can't, Nemo, until we get to the end of it. And he's just like, I know you can. It's such a beautiful movie. I fucking love Finding Nemo. I'm like kind of low-key welling up talking about it. I love Finding Nemo, and Marlin is my favorite part of that movie. He's amazing.
But yeah, this was my 7. I'm not nostalgic about too many movies, but Finding Nemo is one of the big ones that I grew up with, and I love to death. And Marlin is absolutely one of the reasons why. Pixar has this really good thing with characters where they can basically justify all of their flaws in just like a couple minutes of screen time. Yeah. And just the opening of the Barracuda attack, it entirely justifies Marlin's overprotectiveness of Nemo. And I just his journey from basically holding Nemo back from doing really much of anything, which is ironically what pushes Nemo away, to that final scene when they're trying to save Dory and he's like, I know you can. I cry every time in that scene. It's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I love Marlin so much.
I thought I loved this movie when I was growing up. I fucking adore this movie now as being a father. This movie takes on a whole different light when you realize that you switch from being Nemo to being Marlin, and it's mind-blowing. The problem with this movie right now is every time I like this new actor that I've been getting into some of his movies, but every time I hear, like in broadcast news, I hear Aaron Altman talk, I see a fucking clownfish yelling at the TV. And it's the worst part of this entire process because his voice is one of the most iconic voices ever done in any film ever. And when I hear it, I'm like, Nemo, you can't, and I'm like, "What are you? Why are you're human in this? Why are you a clownfish?" This character takes on this character. The amazing thing for Pixar and the amazing thing for Disney that I still respect to this day is how they can make a character that make me fall in love with absolutely, with so little runtime and so little descript, like just basically on their actions alone. Where movies that are 2.5 hours that can't even come close to the character work that these movies can do in such a little amount of time. Marlon is so complex and so basically afraid of everything, scared for actual he's totally justified with everything that he is feeling because he lost everything. And the one thing that he didn't lose was Nemo, and he can't afford to. And when Nemo goes missing, he decides, I have to do what I am most scared of and travel, and then trust Nemo to make those decisions near the end. It's an absolutely beautiful character. I love this character throughout. It is probably my favorite Pixar character just because of how I was in 6th grade when this movie came out, and now I'm an old man, and I have played both parts of this movie, and I think it's amazing. Boatman, you piece of shit. Listen, you know who plays this character, right? You asshole. Why is he not on your list?
So shocked.
Okay, three reasons. Reasons number 1 and 2. This is an Albert Brooks character. This is a Pixar character. There is a Pixar character that I prefer that just barely missed my list. And there is an Albert Brooks character, Aaron from Broadcast News, that just barely missed my list. Those are the two big things that kept Marlon off. Because let's face it, Cody, I am Aaron Altman.
You are to a T, and that's I when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, I talk to this person daily.
And I was so close to putting him on his list. Probably, I think the biggest thing that kept Aaron off my list was the fact I've only seen that movie once. And I think on rewatch, probably would have made it in my top 10. The other thing is something Paul actually brought up. Finding Dory ruins this character a bit, and it's kind of hard to not. Okay, Pixar has a problem with. If there is a movie that has two main characters, Pixar has a problem with one of those characters in the sequel. They usually turn one of those two characters into a joke. It happened to Buzz Lightyear twice, and it happened to Marlon. And it kind of happened to Mr. Incredible, if we're being 100% honest.
Really?
I
really like Mr. Incredible and Incredibles 2. I like him.
Come to terms with the fact that Incredibles 2 is not a great movie.
Boatman's right.
Please.
I like
Boatman's right. Yeah, and Cam is definitely right.
But it happened to Mr. Incredible, if we're being 100% honest. But it's Albert Brooks, so I loved the character, and it just couldn't work. This is top 10 characters of all time. Let's be honest here. There are 20, 30, 40 great picks that just could legitimately miss your list because there are other great picks.
All right. Holton, what were you thinking?
Thank you for making me follow that.
You're welcome.
No, Pixar is a film franchise that I have been meaning to rewatch because it's been a while with a lot of these, including Finding Nemo. I think Marlon is a great character. I think Albert Brooks does a fantastic job voicing him. Again, this is another one of those where I haven't seen it in a really long time, and I really need to.
I will say the only reason Finding Dory doesn't hurt it because I've seen that movie once and it's garbage. All right, I refuse to watch it, to be honest. All right, I have no idea where we're at. I think we're on Red Shaw. What's your 3?
Oh no. Cody, you're going to need to remember the goodwill we just built up. My number 3 is George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life.
Well, he never gonna win. Your list sucks now. Never gonna win. Your list sucks now.
Yes. So I know what I'm gonna hear from Cody, but I'll try my best. So It's a Wonderful Life. It's a movie that's often like mispitched as just the final act of it, when it's really just a deep dive into George Bailey as a character, and your enjoyment and your investment in it is going to directly reflect how much you connect with George Bailey as a character. And I absolutely love George Bailey. This guy who's really bright, who's really kind-hearted, who has a lot of aspirations in life, but life just constantly gets in the way, and he has to adapt to it. And every time it gets in the way, he gets put in the position he needs to be in to help the town, to help his loved ones succeed. But he's never fully satisfied, or he never allows himself to be fully satisfied through all of that. And it's only once Clarence actually shows him what life would be like without him at the end that he really realizes how important where he was at specific points in his life, how his life really mattered, and how he was just a good person at heart. So Cody, go ahead.
So said it numerous times. Ring the damn bell early, and we can just get his effing wings, and we can move on. I've been told numerous times that this is the worst take I have, and that's fine. I'm completely justified. I have made a vow to myself that this year for Christmas, I will watch this movie again. I will give it one more shot. Just because maybe I was too harsh on it. Maybe I have, and again, I'm a different person, maybe. Doubt it, to be honest with you, because I definitely did not like it. I think the problem with this movie is it's the overhyped at what it is. There are certain people that this is their favorite movie of all time. They've told me this is so great. And it just didn't hit for me. I am digging into classics and loving classics more and more every day. So maybe it was before that. Maybe I just didn't love it. Maybe it was who I watched it with. I don't know. So I am giving it a rewatch. My letterbox will reflect that at one point, and I will show whether thumbs down or thumbs up is all I will put as my review. Yeah, I think George Bailey's a fine character. I just may have been too sour when watching it. But as of right now, no, thank you. Ring the damn bell. Everybody else on George Bailey, I know that I'm heavily in the minority on this one.
I have never seen this movie.
The sad thing is I own it on my Vudu in like 4K. Why? I don't know.
I'll talk first because Boatman complains every time he has to. Yeah, this is. I think I also saw this for the first time this year. This is. Doc said it best where he went, "This is a movie that is mispitched as being the third act," and who boy did I think that this movie was the third act? Because when you hear "It's a Wonderful Life," you go, "Oh, that movie about the guy who wishes he was never born," and then you watch the movie and you're like, "Oh, he still hasn't made that wish. Still waiting on that wish now. It's been an hour and a half. Where's that wish?" And then it happens, and like it's great, but the stuff leading up to that is really good. I think just because it's not what I knew from the movie and what the movie was sold to me as, the movie didn't work for me as well. I think knowing it as I know it now, I need to rewatch it. There are several movies like that where it gets pitched to you incorrectly and you need to re-see it. But yeah, no, I think this is a great pick. Just not for me.
Okay, so I'm going to use my time here to kind of re-pitch this movie to Cody. This movie, it is about the third act, but really what it is about, it's about what Nebraska is about. It's about that small town atmosphere. That's what really works in this movie. And I think, Cody, if you go into watching It's a Wonderful Life again with that mind, I think you'll appreciate the movie a lot more. And I think that's what I love. And I think we do see George Bailey as this kind of champion of moral superiority, but I think he's at his best when he is upset. Like, I think a lot of the best moments come from his breakdown right before he has his run-in with Clarence, because you see him at his worst, and he's at his worst because he feels like nothing he's done has been the right thing to do because he put so much pressure on himself. And he is kind of this all-encompassing hero. I think it's a great pick. It was on my short list, but didn't quite make it there for me.
I think that's something that Cameron brought up for a second. There's a real problem in this community of people pitching movies. I think people pitch them more times than not incorrectly. That's why I trust very few people to pitch me movies, to sell them to me, to make me watch them. Two people that have earned my trust without a doubt is Kaleb Boatman and Paul Oyama. Have not led me astray at all at this point. Like Nebraska, for example. Going into it, I don't think I would like Nebraska. Watching Nebraska, it tapped into my sensibilities, so that's the reason why. So with that mindset of what you gave it to me, I will definitely watch it. Again, and I watched it last year, the first time watching it with a ton of people. And then after it, I always like a movie to digest for a second. And they were all gushing about how great it was. I was like, I was bored as shit. What are y'all talking about? So maybe I'll watch it by myself and see if I actually enjoy it a little bit more without people talking. What's going to happen next? Okay. Holtzman, what's your 2?
My 2 is
shit,
the
we're only on
only
our 2.
real. Yep. My 2 is the only real person that I included on my list. My number 2 is Frank Abagnale Jr. from Catch Me If You Can. Cool. I figured no one else was gonna have it. Yeah, I think I mostly avoided real people. I picked this one because this is a real person who kind of like isn't of consequence. He's not like a historical hero. He's not this like great icon to look up. He's just a really cool, interesting person. He is sort of the dream of every teenager of just what if I would just like was smart enough that I could do whatever I want without getting caught. And he just has the idea of, what if I just did something and no one told me no? And he manages to take that farther than anyone could possibly imagine. He is so smart. He is so calculated. Like, he's only a 16-year-old kid, but he's outsmarting FBI agents at every turn just by like playing tricks on them, by being very confident, by being very calm. And then as time goes on, he starts growing more attached to the people around him. And because of that, he can't keep living this life he has, like when he ends up getting engaged to Amy Adams. And then all of a sudden he realizes, oh, they're onto me, but I can't just keep running and changing my name because now I have this life. I have this woman that I love. I have to try and settle down, but I'm also still a wanted criminal. And you see him just kind of go crazy and just kind of lose it, which is like while this is happening. And I think it's super interesting to watch. And then seeing even at the end, like he is defeated, he is caught, he is in prison. And the moment he has a chance, he tries to run. And then he's on the plane and he's in custody and he tries to run and he just refuses to be caught no matter what happens. And he has this determination that I think is so interesting and so cool to watch.
Okay,
how's the show work there, Karen?
Shut the fuck up. Okay, me and Boatman are in agreement with this. As Catch Me If You Can, I think it's his favorite Spielberg. It is in my top. It is in my top 3 of Spielberg. I think this is amazing. Again, it's pretty much everything that I love in movies, put it with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. So done deal. You got me. You got me. I like how, and you're right. I think this character is great. Again, I understand the real person versus the character person, like the battle and not having it on there. If you're going to include at least one and not break the rule by picking like Lincoln and not like all these other people that are real, like that's at least a good one to put. I think this character is amazing throughout this movie. It's so much fun. It's so enjoyable. Yeah, I love this character. Everybody else, I'll save Boatman for last on this character.
It's been a minute since I've seen Catch You If You Can, to be honest. I I owe it a rewatch because I know I loved this movie when I first watched it, but it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't have like the super deep love that Boatman and Holston have, where it's like the best Spielberg movie. But I get it. I remember it being great, so I should give this one a rewatch.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I haven't seen this movie for a good while. I think the last time I watched it like a couple times in one day with some friends because we loved it so much. But yeah, it's a great pick. I love this character. I love the introduction, or not his introduction, but when he like first starts to become a con artist, when he teaches the French class, and now he just kind of snaps into that role like he's putting on a glove, and you can just tell that he's just going to go from there. And yeah, I think he's a really fun character to follow, so I can't fault the pick.
Okay. I think there are two types of teenage guys. There are those who want to be John McClane or Indiana Jones, and then there are those who want to be Frank Abagnale Jr. I think this is just one of the coolest characters in film history because he does everything with his mind. You see how he notices every little thing, but there is also this sense of tragedy behind everything and his parents' divorce. And I think my favorite moment, and Cameron brings up, Frank's always running. His instinct is always to run. And I think my favorite moment for me is easily the final moment. Didn't come into work, and he gets on the plane, and Carl says to him, "No one's chasing you. That's why I know you're going to come back." Because he wants that attention. He wants people to notice. And if no one noticed, he's not going to run. Like, that's really what he wants. That's why he's running. That's what motivates him as a character. And I just love everything about him. I love this movie. Disqualified him because he's a real life person, but fantastic pick.
Fair. Okay. Bowman, what's your two?
My number two is Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction.
Here's where I just want to say I am very close to installing a pandering screen just because of Boatman, where it's just the Bo Burnham. That's textbook pandering. So
I legitimately okay. Paul has been calling me pandering all night. Now you're doing it. These are legitimate picks. If you go back, watch my Tarantino ranking. Jules was my number one. I don't care what Cody thinks. These are my legitimate picks.
Bitch, you better care.
Okay, this is a backpedal. This is not pandering. This is different. But no, I am not. If I was that concerned with pandering to Cody, there are plenty of other picks I could have made.
Jimmy Fallon fever pitch.
Anyway, true. Anyone from Fever Pitch? I don't have a single
Just talk.
Hoffman.
Just
character.
talk. Just talk, bitch.
Jules Winfield, I think this is one of the great journeys in film history. I love the direction this character takes. You started off with just this ultimate badass hitman. He is so cool at this horrible thing that he does. Like, he kills a guy. He kills 3 guys within like the first 20 minutes of this movie. But at the same time, actually, he only kills 2 because he doesn't kill the other person in the bathroom until the second scene. But anyway, it's just so awesome. At the same time, you see his reaction to the bullets missing him and how that slowly kind of turns him into having this realization, into wanting to be a better person. And I think that dynamic with him and Vincent Vega, of him basically having this back and forth of Vincent kind of representing his old life, and you get the real turn with him and Pumpkin in the diner, where he, in a normal scenario, would have killed Pumpkin and ran off. But no, he gives him the money, says, I need the briefcase, but I'm giving you the money. Go. That is my insurance. Now so I don't have to kill you. And I think that's just a brilliant scene and a brilliant character.
Oh man. Call it pandering, call it not pandering. I don't give two shits. Jules is a great choice. Pulp Fiction is my favorite Tarantino. It is. I've said this numerous times. As soon as the movie was over, I played it again. I watched the movie back to back. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. Sam Jackson is his best performance to date. I still stand by that. I think he should have won the Oscar for it. I think he was absolutely incredible in this film from start to finish. And the turns that he makes throughout it. There's a reason that if you look at probably the top 100 scenes of all time, the scene inside the apartment is literally in there. It's etched in stone. I think it's great. Say what one more time, motherfucker. Just literally just looks at him and then he quotes the Bible and it's just so fucking good. I love this character. And there's so many good Tarantino movies, and he's so good at building characters, and I'm glad that Sam Jackson has stayed throughout them. But when you think of Tarantino and Sam Jackson, it's Jules, and that is not even close to me. Well done. Great choice. Why are you dumb motherfuckers not putting Jules on your list? That's what I want to know.
I avoided Tarantino characters on the whole. There's an entire YLS dedicated to that. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and talk about things that aren't Tarantino.
Okay.
I just put my actual...
Cody, we've had this conversation a couple weeks in the future. It's been a hot minute since I've seen Pulp Fiction. I saw it for the first time when I was in junior high, which is something I probably shouldn't have done. And I have not seen it since, probably because I was in junior high when I watched it, and I shouldn't have done that. No, I think from what I remember this performance being great. I remember this character being incredible, but again, it's been a while.
It's fair.
Yeah, and it's a great pick. It's my favorite character from Pulp Fiction. Sam Jackson's best performance, just to echo what everyone else is saying. I don't know. It just missed my list for whatever reason. It's such a broad topic that some just missed, and I wanted to have some weird picks at 9 and 10. So
totally fair. Okay, Koho, what's your two?
So listen. We talked about.
It's great when it starts with "so listen."
We talked about Marge Gunderson being my second favorite Coen Brothers character. I considered many characters from the Coen Brothers for this list. Barton Fink got very close to making it onto this list. There's a couple. Hobie Doyle from Hail Caesar was pretty close at a point. But at the end of the day, sometimes there's a dude. The dude from The Big Lebowski is one of my my favorite Coen Brother character. Period. I love The Big Lebowski. It's not my favorite Coen Brother movie anymore. Fun fact. But it is still up there for me. I really love this movie. It's super chaotic, and the dude is just sort of this very chill, very passive dude that is stuck in the middle of everyone else's bullshit. And that's what makes him super compelling as a character, is this guy who is almost a passive observer, but can't help but care. And it's great. Like the way that he plays off of Walter and Donnie and Jesus. There's just so many great characters that populate this world. And the dude is the one that just is the voyeur that we go through them all. And I think that's what makes the dude almost better than all of them, is everyone else is almost this caricature and this larger than life person. And the dude is just the dude. He's just like, when you say the dude, you know who you're talking about, because I think Jeff Bridges, there's a reason why this is the role that he's very much tied to, is because it's really probably the one that emulates Jeff Bridges as a person the most. It's just this relaxed guy all the way through, and I enjoy spending time with the dude every time I go back to The Big Lebowski. I think the dude is a great character, and I think at the end of the day, he's just probably the best Coen Brother character for me. So yeah, his name is Jesus Quintana. That's how you're supposed to say
He
that.
literally pronounces it Jesus himself.
He says nobody fucks with the Jesus, but when they announce him, he's Jesus Quintana. Like that's what I'm saying. Is
I mean,
they
I
call him-
trust the guy whose name it is.
I trust the guy who's seen the movie, dipshit. All right.
I've seen it as well.
This is what happens behind the scenes of the Kingsman. You dipshit. Fuck you. Okay. Fuck this movie. I'm sorry. I hate
It's not a Cody movie at all.
I hate this movie. There's probably a reason why I hate it more than most. That person's no longer in this community, but it didn't help with the case. To be honest, I just don't like the dude. And maybe because I went to college with people that acted just like the dude, not because they were trying to emulate him, just because they were fucking high and drunk all the time. I just can't stand this movie. I don't. When they said it's the funniest or it's like the most Coen brother, I don't know what the fuck that honestly means. But I like Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and I like Fargo, and I like movies like that more than this movie by a mile. So, on that note, fuck no. The dude hurts your chances on this one. I would have took Barbosa at the 2 spot, and you could have sold me on why he's more of a hero. So no. Everybody else on the Big Lebowski. I know, I'm in the minority. This character's amazing.
I'm actually gonna agree with Cody. I don't care for this movie. I think this movie is I've seen it once, and I was like, oh hey, it's all these characters who kind of don't want to do much. It's one of those movies where it's just characters existing and living, and there's not really like a plot thrust. And that's one of those things that I don't really like, is just movies about characters where there is no objective, there's no plot. It is just, we are watching people. And when one of those people is the dude who seems to not even care about anything that's going on around him for the most part, as much as Koho says he really does care. Sure, maybe he does. I didn't get that from watching this. Yeah.
Okay, here's my thing. I love the dude. I think the dude is a very fun character. I think he's a little bit of a static character. But I think most of the characters in Big Lebowski are static characters, so I get it, I respect it. But I am also Kaleb Boatman. So the character that Kaleb Boatman is always going to love from the Big Lebowski is, of course, Donnie Kerbopple. Because let's face it, I am Donnie Kerbopple, and I'm okay with that. But I do like this character. I think he is very charismatic. I think just that image of the dude drinking the milk at the grocery store is iconic for me. But yeah, Donnie I'll play for best character from the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, and I love Fargo, and I love a couple other Coens. But ultimately, I'm just not a Coen guy. I don't really care for the Coen brothers all that much. Some of their comedies just like don't gel with me. A couple of their dramas that Koho and I have gotten angry a couple times about don't quite gel with me either. The Big Lebowski, the reason why I don't love it is because it's very meandering. The dude just kind of happens upon everything that happens in the film, which is the point of the movie, but I don't really like it. So I guess I just don't really like the movie.
All right, Redshaw, what's your 2?
My number 2 is Andy Dufresne from The Shawshank Redemption.
Before you talk about it, will there be spoilers? Because I have not seen The Shawshank Redemption.
Ho!
Didn't we tell you like 3 months ago?
Yes, this is a movie that I have said many times that
He saw Hamilton 11 times. So, guys, he's busy.
It's about to be 12.
But Shawshank is shorter than that.
All right. I don't know if I'm gonna go into spoilers, so maybe go away to be safe. But
just go away.
I'm just gonna talk.
I'll talk about spoilers. Go away.
All right. But yeah, I absolutely love Andy Dufresne. I think he has a really fantastic arc. Just how he starts so cold, and if I didn't know anything about this movie going into it, I would have actually been convinced that he killed his wife. And just how he he grows basically just with his wits and with hope. He grows as a person, and he makes the prison a better place. He creates these incredible friendships, and he basically just kind of leads this whole movement to improve the prison and to finally escape just through the idea of hope and by just being an intelligent guy. And you just fall in love with him throughout. And also him and Red just have one of my favorite movie friendships just ever. And I always tear up at that final shot. So yeah, Andy Dufresne.
I think there's two that you could have chosen. I think Red is clear, like a great character in this as well. I think Brooks too, if I'm actually being honest. But no, I think this is one of the movies that I was like, didn't get overhyped, but just looking at the praise on IMDb, I was like, what the hell? What? I've never heard of the Shawshank Redemption, 10 years ago. I was like, what the hell does this even mean? And then when you watch it, it gets all the praise that it honestly deserves. Like, some of those movies don't live up to that, but the Shawshank Redemption is one that still, I think, is as good as it is promoted as. I think Andy is a fantastic character because where he starts and pretty much he goes through some hard shit, especially in the prison, and then finding the friends he does and losing Brooks and basically the getting out. Like, that's so freaking redeeming. Like, I absolutely love the part where he when that warden goes in and throws that rock at the poster and you just hear him tumbling through. You're like, fuck yes, you're out. Like, let's go. And I'm with you 100%. When Red is walking up and you see them on the beach together and like, they did it, they're out. Yes. So yes, absolutely. Great moment. Great movie, great character. Couldn't great choice. Everybody else, why no Andy Dufresne?
Yeah, I think that Andy Dufresne is a really good character. I think the movie is just incredible, and I do love the transformation of the character. I honestly didn't really think of him. I don't think he would really be on my list, but I think it's a great pick. I love the dynamic between him and Red, and I think which character I prefer changes depending on the time I watch it.
I think this is a great pick. I think one of my favorite things is the way that Andy as a character convinces you that he did not kill his wife, and then the movie convinces you maybe you shouldn't believe him. It's still very possible that he did. And just sort of leaves it very ambiguous where you want to believe the character, but the movie is almost telling you not to. I think the relationship between him and Red is fantastic. I think this movie is great. This is one of those movies where everyone's like there is a reason it is one of the highest rated movies of all time because it's fantastic. I just went for my favorites. And so things that are objectively the best and things that are my favorites are two very different things.
All right. Go, you can come back. All right, what's your one, Holtzman?
I think everyone assumed that at some point on my list there would be a character from an Edgar Wright movie. Because of course there would be. And I'm not picking a character from that one movie Cody hates. And I'm not picking a character from this movie. My number one is Gary King from The World's End.
Okay.
Yeah. I see the head shakes. I see the surprise reactions. I will explain. I think Gary King is the best written character that Edgar Wright has created. I think he is the most dynamic character. I think he's the most interesting character. And he is one of the most real people that Edgar Wright has made. Is he a ridiculous person? Absolutely. He is a alcoholic whose one goal in life is to complete this pub crawl because it's basically all he has left. He is on the surface just like this crazy idiot with nothing to lose, but you realize as the story goes on, he kind of thinks he's already lost everything. He is a very broken individual, and he's so good at hiding it. And then the moment it comes out, just like how broken he is, the fact that he is doing this because it is all he has left, the fact that like basically he thinks that doing this pub crawl was the last time that his life was good, the last time he really felt happy. And then the reveal in the final bar of sort of the events that occurred prior to what's happening in the film. Like the moment you see that final fight between him and Andy, it legitimately like breaks my heart every time I watch it. Just this reveal again every time. And then he's such a funny character at times. He's got great lines. You're drinking rain. It's like, it's unnatural. It's like seeing a lion eating hummus. It's just ridiculous, and I love it. I think he's such an interesting, fun character, and I love this movie.
I'm upset about myself because I watched the first two. I just haven't got to the third one yet. I like the first two. I'm going to watch this one. I know a lot about the third one, honestly, just because of being in this community and having the friends I have. So I'm going to get to it. I just was trying so hard, but I decided a Fincher marathon yesterday was the better choice.
This is my favorite of the three.
Okay, well, that's fair. Again, and I haven't. I honestly, to be fair, I didn't really want to watch it before this episode because I don't want to judge the character on like a YLS brain after watching the first two, which means I'm not having to. So that's just my whole mindset behind that. But I will watch that. So yeah. There was a lot of reactions when you said this character. So I'm gonna say Koho for last because he did the famous Koho sign. So that means a lot, and I can't wait to find out. And Boatman had like a send back, so I'm gonna go to Redshaw first, then Boatman, then Koho. So go ahead.
Well, I was actually hoping to jump in first anyway, because I'm completely going to back Cam up on this. I think this is absolutely Edgar Wright's best character. I love this movie. I think it's Edgar Wright's best movie. A lot of people do not share that opinion with me, mainly because it has so much underneath the surface, so much heart to it, and a lot of that does come with Gary King as a character. I won't say too much more because I'll just be repeating what Cam said. But I also love that it's basically Simon Pegg playing against the type that he plays in the first two movies, and I think that actually works really well and is like one of his best performances. So
yeah, so I really like the World's End. My reaction was more of just surprise because I did not expect this, but I think it is a good pick. I think this is Simon Pegg's best performance as an actor. I think this is the best he has ever been as an actor. I think it's incredible. I think the biggest problem for me with this character is I think watching all these football movies for a certain reason has kind of exposed this. I think I have a problem with characters who were cool in high school. Now, the thing with Gary King is that that's kind of the point, is that you kind of realize, oh, he kind of just turned out to be an asshole nobody liked. And I think it is kind of this unique point of view, and I think it's really fascinating. I think I prefer, and it might just be for personal reasons, my favorite character in the Cornetto trilogy is Nick Angel from Hot Fuzz. I think Nick Angel, just this rigorous by-the-book type of guy, that might just be because I'm more of a Nick Angel than I am a Gary King, but who knows.
Okay, so my reaction wasn't that I think that this is a bad character or a bad performance. It is probably one of the more memorable Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright characters. The World's End is my least favorite Edgar Wright movie. I still think it's good. I don't think that I think it's the worst of the Cornettos. I think it's worse than Scott Pilgrim and worse than Baby Driver. Like, I don't love it. And maybe that's just because I think it's a very meandering movie. in a lot of places in a way where like they set you up for one thing and then we never pay off that thing, and then the ending is super abrupt, like, and weird. I like Gary King as a character, but putting him at number 1 above some of the ones you have below is what got my reaction, where it's like, you have some really good characters on your list, and to put him above all of those when he's like the second best Cornetto character behind Nick Angel, and he's like the 5th best Edgar Wright character, period, is kind of insane to me. But like, Gary King's a good character, and and like, I like seeing Simon Pegg play something different than he did in the other 2, but like, I just, number 1 is a little insane to me.
Oh, Cameron's head shake was still slightly less than Koho's, but it was still good. I'm going to have to invoke the shut up rule if I ever do a Kingsman episode again. Boatman, what's your one?
It's my fault.
My number 1 character of all time is the Yikes from earlier. It is Owen from The Way, Way Back.
And that was my 3.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. This is easily the most Boatman character I could pick from. It's of course Sam Rockwell, but I think there is just something so special to this character because he is this, one-liner cracking Sam Rockwell at just his comedic peak. I think he's talking so fast, but the moments I really love with this character, the stuff that I think is just incredible, are when we see his relationship with Duncan, because he does kind of become the surrogate father figure for Duncan, and just the way he takes Duncan under his wings, because he does kind of see a lot of himself in Duncan, and the way that you can tell he clearly relates to Duncan's problem with his stepdad Trent, played by Steve, because there's this kind of dynamic where Owen is kind of the anti-Trent. He is this opposite. You see Duncan basically going back and forth. And I think what The Way Back really is about, it's about finding family in friends. Because Duncan clearly feels alienated with his own family, but he feels this connection to his surrogate family at the water park. That's where he feels like he belongs, and it's mainly because of Owen. And I think my favorite moment in this movie is, and it's just a 2-second thing, but it's when Trent comes to the water park, and Owen just says, "Oh, I'm a friend of the 3." He doesn't admonish, he doesn't yell, he doesn't scream. But he gives this 2-second, "You are a garbage person and I know about it." And it makes Duncan feel better. It makes Trent feel like crap. And it's my favorite moment in that movie.
Yeah, this was my 3. I absolutely love this movie. Sam Rockwell is easily the best part of this movie by a lot. I think this is another character who I love because he is so real, but he is also so just a little turned up, where it's like very comedic, but it's still so real, where he's just this snarky guy. He likes to have fun and kind of doesn't care. And then like at the beginning of the film, he seems like he doesn't care about anything. And it's like, no, he cares about Duncan. He cares about the people around him. He's just also here to have a good time. He's here to chill. He's so quotable. He's so funny. When he's just like calling out to the people and he's like, "I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero. Footloose. Anybody. Come on. Have you seen Footloose? Have you seen the remake of Footloose?" And it's like, I think it's just fantastic. I think he's so clever. He's so well written. I love his interactions with, I'm going to blank on the character's name, the kid with the lazy eye. I want to say his name is Sam, but his interaction with the kid with the lazy eye, where he just sees this kid and everyone has told him to hide this, and he goes, "Are you kidding me, dude? That's the coolest thing." Like, he is just encouraging these kids because he knows that most adults have kind of been shitty to them, and he wants to be the non-shitty adult. And it's like, yeah, be the non-shitty adult.
No. Owen from The Way, Way Back. Again, movie I first saw January 2nd of this year. Haven't seen it since, but it has stayed with me ever since. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. I don't think this movie gets talked about enough how great this movie is. It gets talked about in my circle, basically, because Boatman is in my circle, so I get to hear about it all the time. But I think this movie has so much. I think Owen is one of those characters, you're right, that is honestly a complex character for what little they show, but like he is so nice. Like he gives the breaks. What's the main kid's name again? Duncan. Yeah, like he takes Duncan on his wing, and he has so many comedic moments, but so many heartfelt moments that are just throughout this film. Again, would it be one? Should it be one? Probably not. But I understand why it's one. I give a pass because I mean it's Sam Rockwell, and at least he picked the correct Sam Rockwell performance, so I give him credit on that. Everybody else on the way back, and Owen. I mean not the way back.
Good dog.
Yeah, I love this movie. I love this character. I just watched this movie for the first time just a few months ago, so it's still pretty fresh. So that's kind of why I didn't really consider him. But yeah, great. One of Rockwell's best performances. But granted, Rockwell is incredible in everything. So
yeah, this is Rockwell being Rockwell, and that's always really fun to watch. I think it's a great character, great performance. It's the best part of this movie. My favorite part of it, my favorite thing of this character is just the Duncan, please come over to the office real quick, and they talk about the lady, and he's just, Duncan, please return to your lady friend. Duncan, please return to your lady friend. It's great. The way back's good. Owen's great.
Okay. Koho, what's your one?
Shock and surprise. Shock and surprise. It's Captain Jack Sparrow. Blow you all away. To me, Captain Jack Sparrow is the embodiment of adventure. Just as a character, it's just whenever Jack Sparrow enters a scene, anything can happen, and I think that's what really speaks to me. He is my favorite film character in my favorite film franchise all the way through, because I also really love just his arc from where we meet him on this sinking little dinghy, rolling up to Port Royale and stepping off at the perfect time onto the dock is just a great character introduction to this guy who honestly is always just kind of looking out for himself, but is really looking out for those he cares about. And by the time we get to the end of the trilogy, he's taking care of Will and Elizabeth, two people that he cares about, all the way through, and just ends with him where we left him, in a dinghy out in the ocean, off to another adventure. I love Jack Sparrow. Even in the bad movies, I love Jack Sparrow. Just because he's such a fun character to be around. I think Johnny Depp does a great job with this character, and it clearly has so much fun playing this character all the way through. Yeah, I won't take up too much time talking about Jack Sparrow, because obviously.
Jack Sparrow is great in the first two movies. The last three, he's jog trash. I'm sorry. He just becomes a shell of himself. I don't like him beyond those movies. I think the three, maybe I don't give him enough credit, but still, 4 and 5, he's awful.
I don't feel for 3 though. He is really weird in 3.
It's a cash grab at that point. He's just taking it and running with it. He's no longer that character in the first 2 for me. And that what really hurts his character overall. Not surprised he's on your list. Not surprised he's number 1. I completely understand why he's your number 1. I just think you're absolutely insane for it. Everybody else on Captain Jack.
Yeah. Obviously, this wasn't going to make my list. I do not have as big of a love for this franchise as Koho. I don't know many who do. I think it is a case of diminishing returns. I think that the first movie, he's incredible. I think the second movie, he's still great. Third gets a little rough. And then 4 and 5, they kind of forget that Jack Sparrow was like, as much as he's bumbling and crazy, he was still like cool, and he still had an idea what he was doing. And then 4 and 5, they're like, nah, he's just an alcoholic idiot most of the time. And it kind of ruins the character. Yeah, I think him being on this list makes sense, but I think including the franchise as a whole probably should be a bit lower.
Okay, Gary King.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry that I picked a character from a movie I really love who was great in one movie.
So I don't want to make Koho mad, but Jack Sparrow is someone I prefer in smaller doses. I think he works a little better as a supporting character in the first one. And then as they kind of lean heavier on him in the rest of the series, he starts to become a bit much, in my opinion. But yeah.
I agree to an extent. I like the character of Jack Sparrow a lot in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but I think he is better in small doses. Not necessarily in small doses. I think he's better when he's not the protagonist.
Yeah.
Where he is the rogue who is able to basically be either the hero or the villain, depending on what he feels like at that moment. And I think the more you make Jack Sparrow the hero, that's where I think the character loses his luster a little bit. But I still think he works a lot of the time. And he is such just a unique character that we hadn't really seen before. Because Depp plays him perfectly. He plays him like a washed-up rock star. And I think it was kind of just a brilliant move. And it really does work.
Okay. What is your number one, Redshaw?
Okay. So for most any list where this movie qualifies, it's probably going to be my number one. My number one is Sir Calvin Clifford Baxter from The Apartment. I absolutely adore this film. I adore this director. I adore this actor. And I just find Baxter to be so compelling as a character. Basically, he's just a people pleaser that doesn't know how to say no and just kind of loses his soul in the process. And the movie is him basically learning how to be a man again. And I just find that journey so captivating. Him and Fran Kubelik together have my favorite movie friendship, and how they just bounce off of each other and how they perfectly give themselves the exact right advice to get each other out of their terrible situations with Sheldrake. I think is absolutely wonderful. And I just think Jack Lemmon plays him so well. Baxter is someone who could really come off like annoying, unlikable, kind of irritating to watch, but Jack Lemmon is so likable that he's just so charming, and you just want him to succeed, and you believe why Fran really likes him, even though he hasn't made the best decisions in his life. So yeah, that's just a brief. I don't want to talk too much about The Apartment, because if I'm ever on the show again, I'll probably talk about it more. But I absolutely adore this movie, adore this character. So.
I believe this was my sixth. And I basically just want to echo everything Doc says. Baxter is such a likable guy, but he clearly has a hard time saying no. And he is so awkward at that, because he wants to make everyone happy, but he can't. And I think the sooner he realizes that, the better. Because at the end of the day, his core motivation is not to be promoted. That's not really what he cares about. Even though that's the proverbial carrot on the stick, what he really wants is for people to like him. He wants to be liked. He wants to be adored. And I think that motivation is what powers him. I think that's what makes him such an interesting character, because he wants to be liked by everybody. And he needs to realize that he just can't be.
No, you're 1,000%. So this is the one that I tell people, is this my favorite Wilder? No. But that's a huge list at this point of movies that I think are absolutely incredible. Lemmon is right now my favorite classic comedic actor. I think he's absolutely amazing. And something about Wilder and him just are the best pairing together, because he knows how to use Lemmon in the best way, and Lemmon knows how to play off of the material that he's given from Wilder. This movie, I think why this movie doesn't like rank so high in me because maybe it was my first one I ever watched of him, and now seeing all the other stuff and maybe just in different like Witness for the Prosecution stuff like that. But the character itself, I 100% agree with you. It's probably his best character that he's ever like had in a movie. And he has so many. I give you full credit on this one. I knew it was coming in the apartment. But I don't blame you. At least you like a movie and you'll ride it to the end of time and it'll actually be a great movie. Some people are still living on dead men tell no tales. You know, like that's the issues that we're faced on. All right. So great choice. Two people. One has not seen The Apartment, I'm pretty sure.
No, they both have.
Cool.
I'm sure.
I think we've all seen The Apartment.
Okay.
I have also seen it.
I thought Koho was still missing out on it. But okay.
Oh no, it's in my top 100. Did I not tell you that?
Okay.
Like after I watched it the first time.
I would have left his faction by now if he had.
Oh yeah, no, that was his threat. It was like, if you don't watch The Apartment, I quit. So I watched The Apartment, and I love it. The Apartment is great. CC Basham is a great character. I personally would almost gravitate more to Shirley MacLaine between the two, but I think that both are like fantastic characters because Billy Wilder does one thing exceptionally well to a degree where it's almost better than everyone else, and that's coming up with really cool characters that just like populate the world you live in. Is great. Yeah, good pick. Can't fault it.
Yeah, this is another movie that I saw for the first time this year. And if I'm being honest, I don't remember it super well because the day I watched it in the first half of my day because I had the morning off, and then I went to work and came back with heat stroke. So, yeah. I remember this movie being good. Remembering plot specifics, not a thing I can do right now. But I'm sure it's a good pick.
That will do it to you. Okay, we made it. We're almost as long as the top 10 special, the final of the top 100. Shut up, rule isn't full.
That was like 4 hours.
Yeah, fair. Okay, sorry. All right. So winner of this week's Your List Sucks is Kaleb Boatman. Kaleb Boatman takes it a little bullet. I don't know if I had one that I disagree. No, I think I disagree with maybe placement, but like that's 100% perfect. That's a perfect list almost. I think I'd give you an A, solid A. I have maybe Owen. You mix Owen down to where Marge is and move the rest up, and then you probably have a list that would be pretty good to mine. Second, Redshaw. I think of Redshaw. George Bailey, but I am on record that I am going to give this one another shot, so I'm going to give it a pass. You put Billy Wilder and Andy Dufresne up the top two, and Boatman already had it. I give you a B plus. George Bailey hurt you at this point.
I knew that was happening.
But again, this could age terribly and like move it up. So, third is Cameron Holtzman.
Really?
Yes.
1,000%.
Oh, you can't act surprised at this.
No, I really did think you. I 100% thought you were losing this week. I'll be honest.
Catch me if you can. The way back, short term 12. That may have just knocked it right into third place for sure. Like solidified. I thought Elle Woods was a terrible choice, but again, it's 6, it's middle, and I think there's people that actually like it. But you also had a great pick from Cuckoo's Nest. You had the only one that had Hiccup, which I think is a correct choice. And Blindspotting. I think there may be more recency, but they're not bad. And I haven't seen your top one yet. And I know that I like the other two. I doubt that I'll hate the third one. And Paul, which knows me better than probably anybody, told me I probably like it the most. And last place is Koho. Can't hurt you too bad, but you put Captain Jack, which I hate. I hate 3 of his movies. You put the dude at 2, and then you put Captain Barbossa. You put 2 of them. And Luke Skywalker. You just had a lot of rough and the wrong her pick. So I think you should have known you were getting last this week. B minus for Holtzman. C for Koho.
C
over.
Jesus.
D plus.
I thought I was gonna say C plus at lowest, but all right.
Z. You want to keep going? No, okay.
Give me a Z. Fuck it. I don't care.
No, I just think Jack Sparrow 1 is stupidity. Honestly, I'm sorry. I know that's you, but like it's bad. It's
But you're gonna give Owen a pass?
Yes, because Owen
is as equally great as Jack Sparrow. It's just the difference is that I have 5 movies and you don't like 2 of them.
You shut
3
your mouth.
2.5.
I don't like 3 of them.
2.5. 2.5.
That's bad. That's like
Owen is 1 for 1. Sparrow
Whatever.
is
Go to the
5.
Okay.
I know you're not good at math, but 1 is clearly better.
Oh,
Is it safe?
This is good and awkward. It's not safe anymore. But their top 10 list.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Really? You put Captain Jack in red. Why?
Because it didn't show up on the gun if it was white.
Oh, okay. I was like,
That's the only reason why.
10 the do gross. Catch Me Can, Indie Frame, Jules, blah blah. You can read. I don't give a shit. We've been here for almost 3 hours at this fucking point. That overall list gets a B, a top. Yeah, B. Next week I have holiday movies. I would like a panel. I have Boatman. If you've been on and you want to be back on, send me a list. I understand. It's a Wonderful Life will be on there. Maybe I'll watch it between now and then. Just come on the show. Talk about your holiday movies. Let me rip you apart right before the holiday season because you don't get to see me or Koho's lovely face live until January. So we're both really excited. But this top 100 season series may make sure we don't return in February, to be honest with you. Nazario says some shit that we may not come back.
We might actually have to straight up censor Nazario in a couple spots. Just saying.
Nazario and Mike.
I'm telling you, they are not PC, and me and Koho cannot be held responsible for what those two say. He's from Panama. That's all I'm going to say. He's from Panama.
Nazario Montenegro and Yike Hanley.
Yeah.
Literally in the first episode, I think he goes off on this generation and tells everybody they're too soft. So, believe me, wait for that episode. And the top 20 through 11 and 10 through 1 will be live. And we're doing a recap special. So you will actually get to rip them apart for their choices. And believe me, those top 20 choices, there's some questionable choices in there. So please join us for those holiday movies. Send it in. I need the list. Have a great night. I'm the questionable one. Bye.
My God, what just happened?
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Turn to your lady friend. Junkin, please return to your lady friend.
Long live the king. Hasta la vista, baby.